All right, we're live here at the Station of Decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Joe Lamb of the Fetus. That sounds very strange, but it's good to have you here.
Neil, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to share with your followers, so.
Yeah, this will be fun. So, well, first of all, give people an idea of what the Fetus is about.
Oh boy. In a nutshell, it's a horror comedy. And it's about a couple who discover that they're suddenly pregnant and they're not in a fully committed relationship yet. And they have to struggle to figure out what's going on, because this is not a normal fetus. It's not a normal baby growing side of the female character. And they have to go and discover the origins. And along the way, I mean, this thing is coming out and it's attacking people. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, you see a hint of that in the trailer, and I was like, oh, I think I'm all on board on this.
Yeah, this is something where honestly, I wanted to make something that I just haven't seen before in a horror film. To me, there's always been that separation of like, the humans and then either the creatures or the villains that they're going after, and I thought, what could be different, so.
Yeah, if they're actually connected.
Yeah.
Which then brings up a lot of questions, which I saw on your website. It takes both sides, or maybe not necessarily takes one side or the other of pro-choice, pro-life. But you said it's a horror comedy, right?
Yeah. It's mainly because just some of the things that happen in there are like, people are like, what? And there's some humorous things as well, so I kind of don't want people to take it too seriously,
right?
Which is interesting because we've had some experiences with sales agents who just like ghost us because they're like dying to see the film, right? And then when we finally show it to them, there's like no response. We're like, or there's been like emergency meetings where like the head of the company gets called in and watches it, and it's like, and they just feel like, oh, it made him so uncomfortable that he refused to allow the reps who wanted to pick up the film to move forward with it. So he shut it down. So honestly, it's been very interesting,
Yeah, I think that's a big selling point to a lot of horror fans, actually, that it's people are like, I don't want to touch this. Yeah. Along those lines, when you're making the movie, like, does that come into your mind? Like, should I make this like more serious? Maybe it'll be more relatable or whatever to some people, or at the same time, like, I want this certain audience to be into this movie.
Well, to me, it's it has to be accessible. If you to me, I think if you go too extreme in a certain direction, people could just shut off. They could they're watching something and like they disconnect, and that to me doesn't serve the purpose of telling a story. Then it's like you're just tuning out because it's like it's too much for them.
Yeah. You don't want a Serbian film out there.
Yeah, I've seen some films where I'm just like, oh my god, this is I have to stop it and then maybe come back to it later, or but I think for me it's the character journeys. I'm a big proponent of having really good characters and setting them up in a way where you'd want to follow them along, whether you like them or not.
Well, that makes you more interested when things happen. If you're invested in the characters.
Exactly. Because it's one thing to just throw a bunch of people in a cabin and they just started getting killed. Right. But if you don't know anything about them, you don't know their greatest fears, their weaknesses, trauma that they've had, things they have to overcome, then it's just bodies hitting the floor. It's not Johnny over there that you can relate with, who went to like high school that you went to, or, Susie, who, it's like dresses like you, acts like you, and it has a fear of like, I don't know, spiders or something like that, right? And it's like,
And at that point, it's just at that point you're just kind of watching for the fun kills. Which,
exactly,
a movie like that can have its place, but I prefer a movie where I'm more interested in what's happening, invested in the people. But Jamie Hill says hello, who is from Skinamarink, and that actually was going to bring up kind of what I was going to ask was, because you said like some people were like, oh, we want to stay away from this, but A lot more like strange movies get released into theaters today than they have in a long time. Like Terrifier 2, Lauren Lavera's in the movie. Skinamarink, very strange movie. And I think not that long ago, movies like that probably wouldn't even had a shot in the theater.
Yeah, like honestly, like there's Saltburn.
Yeah,
it's just like what?
like,
And Immaculate, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm watching, I'm going like, wow, So, yeah, but we have met with distributors who want to pick it up as well, but we're holding out. We're being picky and choosy. We do have an extended ending that we're planning to film coming up because we've done test audiences, 3 rounds of test audiences. It's about probably close to 50 people now. They've rated a 7 out of 10, and
nice.
We want to knock it up.
Yeah. Get it to an 8 or a 9.
Yeah. So
for people who don't know, you said like you have a new end. Is it a new ending or an actual like? Is there an ending right now?
There is an ending right now, but we figured out that there's more to explore and get even a better, more satisfying ending. It's kind of like what some films do. They have like this. It rises up. There's a climax. Starts to go down, then it rises up again for another climax that's even more powerful, and that's what we're looking to do. And we're also planning to do like a small crowdfunding campaign if anyone wants to get involved, get merchandise, and get their names in the end credits as well. So that's something that's coming pretty soon. That's why I didn't send you any clips because we have some other.
Yeah. Avery and who set up this interview mentioned that you had a crowdfunding campaign coming up. So. Originally, I didn't know if the movie was made, but when I started looking into it, I was like, oh, the movie's made. And for people who don't know out there, a lot of times, like you said, you want a new ending or, to add more to it. So it's like a finishing fund campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Finishing. We literally 90% of it is done. And it's just the final 10%. We want to put the cherry on top. And shout out to Avery Guerra. He's awesome. He's our publicist. He's been helping us.
Yeah, I've known him for years. So it's good to see him get involved in a lot of movies. He was in. I mean, he's always been helping with movies. Usually, it was like a certain, almost like the nothing against him, but like the sci-fi original stuff. And now he's doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, I sent him some condoms. So I'm
going to do
it for you, Neil. Okay, so
all right.
These are going to be on your way. You got to send.
I will put them right up here on display behind me.
Yeah.
I would love that. That's and if people are if you're listening to the audio version later on one of the podcast websites, the condoms have Fetus on them. The name of the movie. It wasn't just Joe was like, I'm going to send you some condoms because I don't think there need to be any more nasty Neils around in the
yeah. There's a tie-in to the movie, yes. Right. Yeah, and that's one of the donation prizes for the campaign.
I love it. I like it when people think of outside the box, something,
Yeah.
Super Mad Man Jam. Good evening from Tooth Brain Productions, and he wants to know: do you have a pitch deck prepared for sales?
Well, we did a pitch deck to raise investment funds for this. So I haven't heard of needing a pitch deck for sales. Usually they just want to see the film and that's it. The trailer, the poster, the screener. Like we've gone through 20 sales agents and distributors. Nobody's asked for a pitch deck. So
what are your plans? I don't know, like if you would even know right now, but would you want to like go to festivals? Would you like to release it right away?
Well, we have a connection to a distributor and who we really want to show it to and potentially partner with. So I think we would have to determine based on what they're saying too, as opposed to just like us putting it on them, because if they specialize in distribution, they'll know what's the best way to roll it out.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I've just been doing things like shipping like 250 condoms to like Spooky Empire, which I found out today is a day late and is damaged. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what? I'm like, UPS, are you? So it's not even there yet. It's apparently damaged and it's sitting somewhere.
honestly, not just here. I like that idea because also if you're at an event, like cards are cool and stuff, but you're more likely to pick up a condom that has the movie on than like, you know, a trade, not a trading card be cool, but you know, a business card.
Yeah, you know, I wanted stuff that's related to the movie.
Yeah,
you know? So not just, I mean, t-shirts are great and all that, and you know, the posters are standard, but it's like what could be specific to the story element. You know, there's a condom that's part of the story as well. So I think that was a good tie-in. So
yeah, I like it. Coach says hello. By the way, Madman, he says he meant for sales. But when you said it's up to them, because it used to be not that long ago, you would go to festivals to try to get distribution, but a lot of movies now still have a short festival run, even if they already have distribution, like Barbarian and lots of movies.
Yeah,
I am a little anti-Barbarian because when I had my film premiere at Fright Fest, my first feature film, and then they put a sneak preview of Barbarian right when the Q&A was starting, so people started to leave, and I was like, "This is not really good timing." But again, though, it was a big movie that ran festivals for a little bit.
Yeah, for festivals, I've done them for like several of my short films. You know, won a bunch of awards. My films have done like over 60 awards. You know, so I'm like, I don't need another notch on my belt for that. You know, this is a service to the fans, the audience. I leveraged all those awards, you know, to land a producer, and then from there, you know, went into development of this and wrote for a whole year, 45 drafts of the screenplay to get it right, and then, you know, raised the funds and went into production. You know, so it's been interesting. This is my first one.
Yeah, your first feature. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's my first feature. Yeah, a lot of lessons learned. And
how different is that from making a short film? Obviously, it's longer, like obvious stuff. But what is the difference?
Oh my God, a short film is like you do it on a weekend,
right?
And you're done. But it depends. I've done shorts for like few $100s to like $40,000, right? So, and this one, it's more of the long haul, because we got into some things with visual effects of areas that I had like never been into before at this level. And so it's been a little tricky. Some of our VFX artists could not even handle what we did, because we did practicals with practical set designs, but there's certain things that have to be removed in post,
right,
and then recreated. So if you've got this creature and you've got to remove these green sticks from it, well, you have to replicate the skin, the movement of the skin too, which is difficult. You know, so this guy was doing frame by frame until one day the system crashed and he lost all of it. And then he went to do a 3D model. And then when I saw it, I'm like, no, I can't do this. This is like if the Thing was like, you know,
yeah, watch what they did with that sequel to the Thing. They actually started with all those practical effects, and then
they scrapped it. Yeah, in the end, the filmmaker scrapped it and went digital. And I tried watching it, and I was like, I can't believe it. It's just not right. Do it, because it just doesn't look right. Yeah. So
I always say in the show, like even bad. I'm not saying that obviously the Thing's amazing, but even bad practical effects has a charm to it, where like bad CG just looks bad.
Yeah.
And then even great CG even has that feel like, oh, this isn't quite right, even if you can't pinpoint it, like the weight's not there or something.
Yeah, it's like it's too fluid or something, you know, even when
it doesn't age well. Like stuff that was good 10 or 20 years ago, and you watch it now, like, whoa, this does not hold up.
Yeah, because it's all the imperfections, right? When you look at something, the light is hitting here and there. Sometimes CGI is just so uniform. It's like perfect. It's like we don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah, I'm very excited about practical effects of the Fetus monster. This is very exciting for Nasty Neil.
Yeah, there's a few stages to it as well, so you get to see different variations, different forms.
Mm-hmm. So, who actually like designed the actual creature and the various forms?
It's a great question, Neil. we got this guy and his team from Colombia, and he won the equivalent of like 2 Academy Awards in Colombia. They call it the Colombian Academy Awards, and there's like I think it's like Macanudo or something like that. I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, he won it twice in a row for his work on other films, all of this practical makeup effects. And what he created, he had a short time to do it, but he pulled it off. A lot of, it's called mechatronics. And so you work it by hand. Some of the puppetry needed 2 people to work, and it was tricky. And sometimes we'd have another version without the mechatronics, and I would ask the actors, "Oh, when you're acting, can you puppeteer or have someone else do it?" And yeah, so it was once we had that those shots that we had to film with the puppets, it got tricky because we're having to move fast. Besides just them performing, you're introducing something else, and you've got other people working it. Mm-hmm. It adds the layer of complexity, but I believe that we pulled it off. It's tough, but I wanted to do that because this goes back to The Thing. I love The Thing, one of my favorite horror movies. And I'm like, why can't everyone just do that? You need all this like pasty digital stuff like moving around that it just doesn't excite me. It doesn't.
Yeah, and it's not just one quick scene of something that you can barely see in the shadows. Like you see all the monsters in The Thing, and and it's a lot of different things. I think, and it's not just a guy in a suit, which can be cool too. But the Thing is like very otherworldly, just very bizarre. What you're watching.
Yeah, it's even like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Right, it's from the 70s. That thing still scares me when I watch.
One of the best endings ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. And I mentioned this before, but the Thing board game, they're not paying me or anything, but it's great if you've never played it. I highly recommend the Thing board game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you're into board games, I'm old school into board games. Craig Lindbergh, who's a FX artist in New York, curious, was there any trepidations at asking people for funds?
Well, the interesting thing is so I came from, before this, the real estate world, and I still do that, right? But I had raised funds for real estate deals. And then I was helping somebody with their real estate deals, and then just shared like, oh, I'm working on this movie, and we've got the script, and I did this animatic, where it's kind of like a previs, where I did all these storyboards, and I recorded it, and I did my voice, and so I put it all up on a website. And before I even reached out for funds, and actually we were reaching out for funds, we brought on like 3 interns, and we were actively on LinkedIn and reaching out, messaging people. This investor I was partnering with saw what I was doing, and I was sharing more info. And the investor just said, "I'll give you $100,000." I was like, "Huh?" I was like, I wasn't even asking for it. I was just sharing, because we were working together, and then later on the budget increased when we needed more. And just because the investor just saw more of what we're doing, funded the majority of it. And then after that, there were some other investors that actually were actors. They were brothers. So Nathan and Jeremy Rudd, and they have their own horror film right now that Jeremy directed called Diced. So it's out there. So they came on board as investors as well, and producers. And so very, very fortunate, because again, they saw what we were doing, and they were actually looking at 10 projects. And they said, "Joe, yours looked like the most polished, the one that had the best story that they were looking at." And so they decided to get involved. So I so appreciate them for this. Yeah. So it wasn't hard asking for funds.
Yeah. And that's apparently something you do in your real world. Not that this isn't real, but yeah. And a great cast. a horror legend, Bill Moseley, is in it. Big fan of Bill Moseley. He's a great actor, also very funny guy, and always has a lot of presence on screen. So, like, how did he get involved? Like, did you have him in mind right away for the Fetus?
Absolutely, he was a top 3 choice. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously going way back, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and all of his other work, the Rob Zombie trilogy, and he read the script, and I was told by his agent that as soon as he read it, it was within 3 hours of getting the script, he signed on to it. Like, he had already agreed. And then we just had the formality of meeting over Zoom and everything like that. And, and he was great to work with. I saw him last month even. So we still maintain contact, would love to do a sequel with him.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so he is funny though. He, because in between takes, I mean, he's dead serious when he's performing, but in between he's cracking jokes left and right. And like making the crew, stop in their tracks. I'm like, hey, Bill, you gotta tone it down a little bit, No, but he's great. He's absolute joy to work with, and 40-year veteran in the industry, So, and I'm trying to think if I had any nervousness working with him. I don't think I did, because he was such a professional. He just was just, and he was a straight shooter. If there was something he didn't like, he would just tell you, and I'm just like, okay, great, we won't do that, or we'll do it this way, or whatever, So
not necessarily about being nervous, but is it ever when you're directing a veteran actor, because like you said, 40 years in the business, is that ever hard? Just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say anything because this guy has more experience, or what's that like? What's that process like, directing someone who's been in the business so long?
Yeah, I mean, I stay right off the bat, literally, to all the actors. I say, I wrote this thing, but once you're signed on, I pass off this character to you. This is no longer mine. You have to come up with how you want to play this character, the approach you want to take. And when you're in a scene with the other actor, work off of each other. And I allow for rehearsals if they want to do rehearsals before we get to set, like months in advance. Not every actor does that, so I just have to respect their wishes. And with Bill, it was the same thing. I said, Bill, this is your character. I would ask him, how do you want to portray him? This father who is dealing with this issue with his daughter, and this guy that she brings to his cabin that he just quickly does not like, and I leave it up to them, to be honest. I take the approach of Clint Eastwood, because I look at Clint, I'm like, how does he get these performances? And in the past, I used to be very heavy-handed. I would come in and say, okay, you're going to do this take this way. Okay, now this take, you punch it up a notch, or, find a way to be funny, or get angrier. And it's result direction that it's common. It's almost like if two people are communicating, if you're having a regular conversation with someone, Neil, and a third person comes in and says, you know what, Neil, you should do it this way. No, why don't you say it this way? How awkward would that feel?
Right.
And who are you listening to? Are you listening to you, or are you listening to this other person over here? And are you listening to the person who's you're supposed to be communicating with now? Mm-hmm. So I strip myself out of it, and I set the environment, and I just tell them, if you start going too far off the rails, off track of who I feel your character is, then I will let you know and pull you back. And aside from that, they own it. And I usually, when I film, we do series. Series means we don't cut in between. And so with this film, my last film, which won like over 50 awards, I used the same method, which was once we film, I just say reset. And I say, go when you're ready. I don't even call action. I only call action when there is specific things, stunts or weapons involved. But I say, go when you're ready. So that lets them know they're not going because of me, because I'm saying action, and it's not. I say, go when you're ready. So if they're not ready, they need to do whatever it takes to get ready. If they need an extra few seconds here and there, they do that. But they get to settle themselves, and then they go. And then again, it's like we'll do 5 takes in a row without cutting. They just reset.
Now, is that just something that came with experience of directing short films?
Absolutely. Because once I got out of the way, like the performances started to flourish.
In my mind, when you're saying that, it just feels like if you say yell cut, action, all that stuff, it takes people out of their character, then they have to get back in the character.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it takes some getting used to, because not every actor is used to that. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time, what's his name? Christian Bale, when he was in Knight of Cups. That was a Terrence Malick film. He absolutely loved it. I'm not crazy about the film, but he said of that experience, they were just filming all the time. Mm-hmm. And so he just got to just be this character wherever they went, from one location to the next. So it blurred the lines. He wasn't hearing action and cut constantly.
What were the movies that influenced you to, or made you want to become a film director or a filmmaker, or in films at all?
Yeah, the first one was Citizen Kane. And it's mainly because Orson Welles used so many, camera tricks in there that it was just like, whoa, it brought attention as if to the filmmaking itself, the craft of filmmaking, where he's going towards a gate and like it's impossible for the camera to push the gate. But I learned later on that they pulled the gates away. Or it's so low angle. I'm like, how is this possible? This doesn't make any sense. And that they had to dig into the ground in the house to put the camera so low that it's an extreme low angle that people had never seen before. And so a whole bunch of things like that. So that inspired me. And then what will continue to inspire me, of course, Spielberg. You've got James Cameron. There's Ingmar Bergman. There's Kurosawa. And Cinema Paradiso. So it's just these classic films that I'm striving to tell stories like that with deep and meaningful characters, regardless of what the genre is. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason why actually the Fetus has taken longer, because we're putting so much care and love into this and delivering it for the audience, no pun intended. But to me, it all comes down to the audience. For me, I'm going to be satisfied no matter what, whether the film is good or bad, because I've created something. But to me, the whole purpose of creating a work of art is to share it with other people and to affect them in a certain way.
So you said, you want to make movies regardless of the genre, that affect people and the characters. But what kind of, what led you to horror?
Oh, well, originally, because my last short film was an action thriller, that's what I wanted to do. But the budget would have been $3 to $5 million. Mm-hmm. And the producer I connected with at Virtual Con Film Festival, it was during COVID, so that's why it's virtual. I was sending like producers, like the 10th producer that I sent to was him, and I sent him the Fugitive Zero. That was my last short film. Anyone wants to watch that, fugitivezero.com.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Watch that. It's a 15-minute short, and he loved it. But he said, Joe, I can't back you for this because it's too big of a budget for a first-time director. He said, well, what about this horror film? And he sent me a script to read. I read it, and I said, well, I just can't do this because this is like a slasher film that I can't connect with. The characters just weren't there for me. And so I said, well, what if I wrote something else? And he's like what? I said, well, it'll be a horror. It'll be similar budget level, similar locations and cast, but it'll be something that I create. And I said, I'll give you a script in 1 month. And he was like, yeah, Joe, sure. He didn't believe me. And in 3 days, I delivered a what do you call it? A treatment. And he said, well, this is good enough to develop. And then, true to my word, by the end of the month, I delivered a full screenplay. It was rough, of course, but he said, yeah, this is good enough. Let's move forward with this. And so we went into an agreement, co-production deal. And then from there, I spent a year writing 45 drafts of the Fetus, because I was testing it along the way as well, getting other people to read it and shaping it until we finally felt it was right. And unfortunately, we didn't have this ending, which we have now, but there is a blessing in disguise, because we were able to test all of this out and now figure out how to do this extended ending that's really going to elevate the film.
So did you have the ending in mind at all? Like before you decided to go with the new ending? Did you have it like in mind and like, maybe we can't pull this off? Or?
Well, the weird thing is I had a sliver of it where I was like, oh, this extra thing can happen, but I already knew it was gonna take the budget over the top. And I'm like, we're already in pre-production. We're like getting things lined up, the cast, the crew, and all these things. And I was like, well, I'll talk to the team about it. And they all agreed too, that instead of like stopping everything and reworking it, because we had already signed on Bill Mosley, that it could affect, the timing of the schedules and all that. And so I kind of left it on the back burner, and we were going to decide that, like, once we get a distributor on board, see what they say. But we haven't chosen anyone to go with out of like the 20 that we've met so far. So we just decided, like, let's just do it. Let's give the fans the story that we feel that this deserves.
And Lauren Lavera is main star of the movie, who our fans will know from Terrifier 2, but she's really getting her name out there. She's in a lot of stuff since Terrifier 2. How did she get involved?
Yeah, she was the second person that we cast, because to me that was a crucial role. The first, obviously, Bill Mosley, because strategically we wanted somebody who had a track record in horror films. Mm-hmm. Because when you're casting someone younger, 20s, 30s, then they haven't had as much, credit history, mm-hmm. right? And so from there, and it was crucial to get the female character, because obviously, she carries so much of this film in terms of what happens being pregnant with something that's harmful and demonic. So put out a casting call on Actors Access, and there were 7,500 submissions that I had to go through. And once she was there, I had a top 10 category, but she was just elevated. There was no question. I feel like I could literally take her self-tape performance and put it in the movie, and like people will be so immersed in it that they wouldn't even realize that, there's a different background in this moment because of how well she performs. And same thing with in terms of, having her on set and performing. It's like there's not much I have to tell her, and she writes a whole backstory about her character as well, and there's just all I do is just provide encouragement, here and there, and I probably could have done more, but as my first feature, I was honestly in production, I was completely exhausted making this movie, because we did it out of state as well.
Where did you film?
Pennsylvania.
Okay. No, really, yeah. That's a weird. It's not an odd place. It just seems like an odd place to film a movie.
Well, the reason is because we were looking New Jersey, Oklahoma, and we couldn't find the right locations that were a cabin, and it just didn't work. We kept looking and looking and looking, and we were told that Oklahoma was like, for some reason someone was saying like actors don't want to go there. I was like, that's weird. Okay, so it was almost like because of the location and what's called the tax incentive. They had a good tax incentive that we.
Oh, I didn't know that about Pennsylvania. So yeah.
Yeah. So.
And when you said Lauren wrote a backstory for a character, did that change the movie at all? Do you actually, change the character a little bit based on, what she wrote?
She didn't share it with me. She offered to share it. And I said, yeah, send it over to me. But she never did. But that's her process. And she just writes. Yeah. I don't know how many pages. So I never got to read it, so she may have shared it with me a little bit, because we did a rehearsal with her and Julian Curtis, who is her co-lead, the boyfriend in it.
Ashley Turner, tax incentives can make all the difference.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lauren, on set, you said when you're in the audition, she's great. She's on set, she's great. And also, though, how about the chemistry with her and the lead? Because sometimes you can even have two great actors, but they don't have chemistry. So did you do any tests with that before you start filming?
There were no tests. I just knew when Julian Curtis did his self-tape, he had this, and there were about 5,500 submissions for him. So total combined, actually total combined is 12,000 between the two of them. So whatever the math is for that, I may be wrong.
Right. It's a lot, though. It's a lot. Yeah.
All right. I narrowed it down to a top 3, and I just felt he had the right blend of, believability and humor and some awkwardness to him. Right. So he could go back and forth with that. And I'm like, this is great, because, he'll match the way I wrote this character, and again, when I passed it off to him, he brought it all to life. I didn't tell him, oh, be funny here, try to be joking here. No, he is able to pull it off naturally. He can read in between the lines of the script and know when something needs to be humorous and regarding the timing and the delivery of all that. That's a very hard thing to teach and to direct. There may be directors that can pull it off, that can just take any actor to have them push and pull in that direction. But I'm like, why make it harder myself? Because there were some actors that were very good in terms of the drama, but like the little bits of humorous moments, like I didn't see were peeking through.
When you did your short films, like, was the goal always like, I'm doing these and eventually I would like to make a feature film?
Always. Yeah.
So how do the shorts help with that? Obviously you get experience, but, and you said you played festivals. So you also, not just like you win an award, but you meet other people. Like, what are the benefits of doing festivals and making short films before you make your feature film?
I think it's when going to festivals, the number one thing that I enjoy the most is the lights go down and we get to watch all these short films in a block.
Yeah.
That's number one.
That is, I'm a big fan of the short blocks at festivals.
Yeah.
Also, just not to interrupt you, but it's cool if you see something you really like and it makes you want to go and check out those other people's work, or maybe it's their first thing and then you get excited when they go on to make something else.
Yeah, there is something about when I remember clearly there was one filmmaker, he made a short film and it wasn't that great. It was literally his first one, just had a digital camera and a couple actors, and it was black and white. And he was so proud of it that it was like awakening something in him, because we're doing the Q&A afterwards. And that rekindles my drive as well to keep going. And so I love it's the shared community of filmmaking and people who appreciate filmmaking and storytelling that takes place at a festival. And unfortunately, my last film, because of COVID, it was all online, so I couldn't even experience it. I think there was one festival that after a year of films, they put on one big one, and it was after COVID. So luckily was able to attend that, and we won a second award for our film as like an overall in that category for the whole year, which was pretty nice. Yeah, but festivals are great. But again, for the Fetus, I don't know. It's going to depend on the distributor, because they have to it becomes more commerce now, because we have to sell the movie to make back the investment.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Now you said you had test audiences for the Fetus. Were you the present for those? Like, do you like to actually see the crowd while they're watching it?
I organize it. Yeah. So I
don't know if you just like read the comments after, or if you like to be, actually feeling what, how, like the vibe of everyone watching it.
Yeah. So we would just, it was all over Zoom, and I would literally play it.
Oh, interesting.
And then everyone goes mute. And then I do it's like Q&A afterwards, come back on and literally just ask them, what'd you like about it? What you didn't like about it? What jumped out at you? What do you think needs to be fixed? And they just give it to me, or they fill out a form and they rate it.
I didn't actually think of Zoom, because I think, test that you got to actually rent a place and bring people in, but now you can actually do something like that, with a screen sharing, whatever, over Zoom or StreamYard or something. Interesting.
With the big studios, they run out the space.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's a little more expensive if you yourself are going to go rent a place out and bring a bunch of people.
Yeah, I did that once for a documentary, and someone donated the space, and then we just brought out chairs and refreshments and did that. Yeah. So
and you don't have to buy people popcorn or drinks if it's over Zoom. They can bring their own. But that's interesting, though. I like that. Was that like something that someone suggested to you, or is that like just your own kind of thing?
It's my own thing. I mean, just for the Zooms, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Own thing. Yeah.
I think Troy, if you're here, your video is off. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's AI Troy or something, but it could possibly be Terrible Troy. But the Fetus has a website too. What is it, thefetusmovie.com?
Yeah, it's thefetusfilm.com.
Fetusfilm.com. I should have wrote it down, so I look smart.
No worries. Thefetusmovie.com feeds into it. So
okay.
They type that, it's okay. And we have for Instagram and Facebook, it's the Fetus Film. Pretty simple. So like if it's Facebook, you go facebook.com/the Fetus Film. So
yeah, and when the crowdfunding starts, it'll be off the website. People can go there and check it out.
It'll be thefetuskickstarter.com. I just bought it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those have I don't know why they don't do better with the URLs on most of those. Like,
I know they add sometimes all the crazy stuff at the end. No, but I want to simplify it so people could.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very smart idea.
The Fetus Kickstarter, and we have an unusual pitch video that when people see it, they're gonna be like, "What the heck?"
I'm very excited.
As entertaining, it's not just me standing there, asking for support. It's different. It's. Yeah, you'll see once it comes out.
I'm excited about this, and I like that you have different ideas. With the condoms, and I'm excited to see what this pitch video is. Troy, can you hear us? I don't know what's going on there, but that's my older brother, Troy.
Okay.
He's not.
I like the matching first letters of your
name. Yeah, Terrible Troy. We used to have Jittery John with us, but he had left. Jay's a very hard word.
Yeah, Joking Joe. That could be, if I were to have one.
Yeah, Jugular Joe, maybe.
Jugular Joe. Yeah, there you go.
I kind of like that one. So, well, you mentioned movies that like inspired you to make movies at all. But what are some of the horror movies? I know you mentioned The Thing, but what are some like specific horror movies that inspire you?
Oh, Exorcist. We got The Fly. I've already mentioned the other two.
Which Fly? The
Jeff Goldblum.
Okay, yeah,
that one.
It's interesting. Because a lot of people are like anti-remake, but the two movies there, The Thing and The Fly, are both remakes.
Yeah,
some people don't realize that sometimes.
I know. So, I'm trying to think of some other ones. I'm trying to think of some recent ones. Talk to Me. That got me. That threw me for a loop. I was like, oh, well, I was not expecting this.
I wasn't either. That was a really good movie. And it's a lot darker movie than I expected going into.
Aliens, but that's more action horror sci-fi. Yeah. But I mean, that's like, to me, that's the greatest action film of all time, and it's got that horror element in it too. It's just, oh my god. Trying to think what else. There's besides like, you know, the standards of like Friday the 13th and, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, that I saw that both of those when I was I don't know, 12 or 13. I was like, it was just so disturbing to me. But The Fly also, I saw it when I was a kid, and I was so scared that I went to my parents' room, and like my mom was like, "Oh, like what the heck, Joe, what are you doing here?" And literally for 2 weeks, every night, I had to sleep on the floor in their bedroom, because in my room, I kept picturing like the fly crashing through the window, because that's what happened in one of the scenes, like that it was going to get me and pull me out or something. And yeah, so there's just there are just certain films that have gotten to me in at a young age too.
Yeah, I was thinking both The Thing and Fly also, you know, heavily body horror, and by the Sound of the Fetus, that's a big part of that film too. Yeah,
I remember Lauren said in an interview, she called it a body horror as well. You can call it creature horror. We're calling it a horror comedy, again, to make it a little more accessible to some people.
Right, yeah.
Are a little uncomfortable with it. But it has been a weird response for it. So I don't know.
The name right away caught me. I was like, oh, a movie called The Fetus. That intrigues me right off the bat. And then when I watch a trailer and you start to see some things coming, I was like, oh, this is a movie for nasty Neils. I'm excited.
Yeah. And
I also like that people like to argue over, you know, genre and stuff, but that's what I like about horror, because a lot of it can fit into all different categories. Like you said, it could be body horror, it could be comedy, it could be a creature horror movie. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other, or it could be all of them at once.
Yeah, and the one thing I wanted to do with this was to make something like original, and something where you could follow along with the characters in this journey and have hopefully a rewatchability, because those are my favorite movies where it's like there's a character journey that's embedded in there. And I honestly, Neil, I've been so tired with like all these remakes that I'm like, oh, what's happening? Because then it's like the new generation comes along and they're watching the remake because it's newer, right? It may look better, but in terms of storytelling, it's just not. It's like a carbon copy, and it's like a little bit watered down. And I'm just,
I'm not against the idea of remakes, obviously, because like I mentioned, The Fly and The Thing, and there's been, you know, but they remakes like everything. It's like The Strangers is coming out this weekend. It might be a good movie stuff, but that movie seems like the actual Strangers just came out like not very long ago. So it's very weird to like remake it already.
Yeah. And I'm okay if they do what's like a reboot where the story tends to be different, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's like they're trying to do the same thing, and I'm like, why? Like why? Like I mean,
I think if you're gonna you want to do something new with it. Otherwise, you know, really, what's the point of the other one's already been done?
Right. And this is not. I mean, you know, this is nothing against the filmmakers, because I think a lot of times the studios are like they're handing an IP to them, you know, which is great, you know. But
the Fly is. I actually like the old Vincent Price movie, but the Goldblum one and the Vincent Price one are completely different movies. Mm-hmm. And John Carpenter's The Thing is a completely different movie than The Thing from Another Planet. You know, they might have that's a remake technically, but they did something completely different with them.
Yeah, but it seemed, because I was watching some of it, and it seemed like it took place in the same similar location and all that. But to me, it's like, why not put it in a different setting?
Oh, you mean the newest Thing?
Like the new Thing, for example.
Yeah, I meant like the 50s one, or whenever because John Carpenter's was a remake of an old Thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what you mean. The sequel was like a prequel, I guess, of the other one. But
yeah, honestly, even Invasion of the Body Snatchers was a remake of another one that was.
Yeah, I actually really like. I think all three of them work.
And I'm fine when they really pull it off, you know. And it's just like they nail it. I'm like, okay, great, you know. But a lot of times it doesn't seem like they do, you know. And so I just want I want filmmakers to just really push the boundaries, you know, even further in terms of storytelling and originality, you know, because I love it when I'm just completely surprised by a film, and it's just like it awakens me in my drive to make better stories too.
And those are the movies, besides like the giant, you know, Marvel movies and the big blockbuster movies that do still do well at theaters are like the independent horror movies, like Terrifier 2. Speak of Lauren Lavera, you know, like it comparatively to other movies, very low budget and made, you know, like $10 million. So.
Yeah,
that was a weird one to see in a theater. Like I was into it, but I could tell a lot of the people in the crowd thought like they were coming to see like a, you know, I don't know, like a haunted house movie or something, and it was much different than what they're expecting.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters as well. Yeah, and it was hard to stomach.
yeah.
And there's another one where this like apparently is like someone threw up in the movie theater.
Oh yeah, in A Violent Nature. I'm actually really excited to see that one.
Yeah.
Out in a couple
that to me, I'm like, oh great, this is like the filmmaker's actually following the villain in this. I'm like,
yeah,
like, you know, so I love stuff like that, you know. So that's what excites me, you know.
Yeah. Cheap plug. Rye Barrett, who plays the villain, will be on the show soon. So very excited. But yeah, I like that too. It's cool. It's fun. That's why I like festivals too. You go to the festivals and you see a lot of weird stuff that you may not see at the theater, but it does seem like some weirder horror movies are getting into the theater, which makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a void right now because like the studios have, you know, because of the strike and everything, and they're it seems like they're retracting in how much they're making, and so there's been like re-releases of movies like The Force Awakens and stuff like that coming back, you know, because they're trying to fill in a void. So it's actually given an opportunity for more independent films to show up there too. You know, I know that there was like Cinderella's Revenge.
And they actually got a theatrical release. Those Winnie the Pooh movies, and which can't say I was the big fan, but I'm good. But good fun. It was, you know, it was cool that they got a release.
Yeah.
But they show a lot of weird stuff in Boston. Not really around where I live, but up in Boston. So I go up to Boston to go see that stuff. But horror comedy is really fun to watch with an audience. So, you know, both horror and comedy, because you interact with, you know, there's interaction there. So I assume the Fetus will be a fun movie to watch with people. Even if it's not in a theater, you can get a group of people together and watch the Fetus.
Yeah, I mean, Neil, are you the type that like you throw popcorn at certain moments of the, you know?
I'm not, but it can add to the movie.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like what is that? Like, what is that one movie where they do that? They have those regular screenings where people are.
Yeah. Well, they do it for The Room and
The Room. Yeah, that's one of them.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture. Yes.
I have been to a Rocky Horror Picture Show a couple times with the shadow cast, they call it, and people interacting, and it is a good time.
Oh, they dress up like they're the character.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of the Room, so my friend Anvil and I went to see I think it's called Devil Baby at this small theater. It was a midnight feature, and then when we were leaving, there was all this like stuff going on in the big theater, and we peeked in, and there was like a beach ball bouncing around and people throwing forks. And Anvil's like, why didn't we go see that? But it would end up being The Room, so then we went and saw it another time.
Okay, hopefully it's plastic forks.
It is, yeah.
Those don't fly very far. They just like
yeah, there's like different things, like you throw a fork every time something else happens. I can't remember, but it was weird because I'd never seen The Room before, so neither of us had. So to see it for the first time with an audience like that, it was kind of odd because we couldn't hear like the actual dialogue or anything because people were just yelling. And, well, I'm not sure if you really need to. But yeah, you could go see the Fetus. You could throw condoms at different scenes, and
yeah, I'm hoping to do something where if we go theatrical, that we could offer like, I don't know, 100 condoms for the first attendees at this theater or whatever, And so
yeah,
you walk in, you get a little gift, So yeah,
I like this. So
yeah.
follow the Fetus on all the social media pages. And how about yourself? Where can people follow you?
Oh, I forgot the knife. I forgot to show the knife.
Oh yeah, the knife. Let's see this.
Yeah, the Fetus. It is an engraved kitchen knife as well.
Now this really brings the question: why is there a knife in the Fetus?
Great for cutting umbilical cords. Well,
then you're really selling the movie for me.
Well, because it's a knife is a part of the storyline in terms of even generations, because we have a young Maddox. I don't know if you're aware of this, but we have a young Maddox character, which is a young Bill Mosley in the film that we had to cast for. And they both use the knife in the story.
Interesting.
And so
those are big shoes to fill, a young Bill Moseley.
Hi,
Troy's here.
How we doing, Joe? I could hear you guys before, but I was trapped in the abyss.
Oh, you were in an escape room, huh?
I was, yeah. There was no escape for me.
Yeah, because Troy is a huge fan of Bill Moseley. That's like his man.
I am.
Horror, so.
Yeah, it's true.
You've got a full beard, like Bill has sometimes too, with a little extra.
Yep, every now and then, yeah.
Now, I could not grow one. I've got that Asian face that it's just, like weeds that not you separated.
Yeah, but you look good like that, so you stick with that.
I've been told that like people say you're not a horror guy. Like, they're like,
That's
what?
true. You're very like clean cut and like look like too sweet a man to be.
You gotta get some neck tattoos or something.
Yeah.
No, but I guess I keep it all under the surface. So when you guys
there you go. That's the best way.
Yeah, because I have a costume in our Kickstarter pitch video that when you see it, you'll be like, matches Joe. Like, but anyways, it's I don't want to give too much away.
Well, you're the kind of you're the type you have to look out for.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's a normal dude. And then,
I look normal, but yeah.
And he's got the Fetus condoms in his back pocket. And
exactly. He's got them all fooled. That's good.
Yeah, he's got the sheath in his boot with the Fetus knife.
Yeah.
And Troy, I was telling Neil backstage, I was like, should I come on without my head?
That's awesome.
Are those going to be for sale, or is that just your personal Fetus knife?
This was I'm considering making this one of the donor prizes for the Kickstarter campaign.
Oh, nice.
And like sign the box.
Nice.
So I don't know if your followers are listening to this. Is this something you think you'd want to have for a donor prize? So yeah, put in the comments because we're still deciding.
Let us know. I like this idea, and I don't know if you could talk about. You talk about condoms, but are there any other things you could say that will be, some of the perks?
Special thanks credit. There's other producing credits. There's we've got some of the prosthetics, the creature prosthetics. Happy to offload it. People who want it. We've got like umbilical cords. We've got some of the like cast wardrobe, and it all comes with signed certificates of authenticity that I'm going to sign. It comes from my production company, so that means it's going to be legit. No one can try to pass it off. Just go look and buy the same.
Buy an umbilical cord at the end.
No. One of them is gonna they'll have some blood on it and stuff like that, and we got like severed arms, and so there's some fun stuff, and even a day on set if you want to spend a day on set with us.
Ooh, that's cool.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, none of this is finalized yet, but so don't hold me to it, but these are some of the
Yeah, no, yeah.
Some cool ideas, though.
Yeah. So earlier when you mentioned watching The Fly as a kid and you had to go, sleep in your parents' room, what did your family think of you making horror movies and something like The Fetus?
Oh, my mom can't. My parents live in Thailand, right? But yeah, my dad would just say like Joe, I don't know. I forget what he said. He said something, so I don't really bring it up to them too much, because I don't know. Just the word "the fetus," that's some preparation with it,
right.
I've not seen it, I think they've only seen the trailer. I haven't shown them anything. I have an aunt that will not watch the movie, she said, because she's horror. She gets squeamish with horror. She can't believe I'm making something like this. So she contributed to my last campaign, and she even acted in it as a psychologist in Fugitive Zero. And she likes that, but this one is just like she had trouble even watching the trailer, for it. Well, I don't know. Again, I look like a normal guy, I normally am a normal person, but it was like to get to my other films, which are the action thrillers and sci-fi stuff. I'm like, I have to do a lower budget film, to get there. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it, whatever it takes. So, yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I think all the stuff that may put off your aunt and some family members are making me excited about the movie.
Yeah. You have us anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And again, they haven't seen anything, but just the fact that they know that something's coming out of a woman that is not human. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited, and this has been really fun to talk with you. And when The Fetus comes out, maybe we can have you back. Maybe some of the cast. It'll be a good time.
Yeah. If I mean, Neil or Troy, do you do reviews? Do you do like movie reviews, like some of the other?
We have a couple people who do reviews for the website, written reviews, but we'll talk about stuff on the show too. But, we have people who do written and video reviews specifically.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely send you guys a screener when the time comes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll have to time it. Again, it's based on who we're partnering with a distributor for timing the films.
Yeah, one of them is in the chat here, Todd Yeager. He does video reviews, him and Diablo Joe.
Todd Yeager, he doesn't have the same matching letters for his name. Since you have something.
I know, yeah, it's very true. It's very true. We need
Todd.
We can't take terrible. We'll have to figure it out.
Traumatizing Todd. You got to come on with something.
Right? Yeah. We had Trista Robinson was co-host for a while, a horror actress, and she was using Treacherous Trista to fit in. So we can't take Treacherous away from her.
You can't use the same one.
Yeah.
Right.
No. That's retired for Trista. I'm gonna put up in the rafters like the Celtics.
That's it. I like it. Retired jerseys, retired
right.
Names.
Yeah. I might get an umbilicus cord to put behind me during the show. If not, I will definitely put up a condom back here.
Well, you're both going to be getting condoms. Okay. So Troy, I told Neil earlier, you send me an address and I will ship it off. Okay?
All right. Perfect. I love it.
All right. I will sign the side of it as well. I usually sign
that's awesome.
Here.
I love it.
So,
sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, Joe. It's been very fun. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So
yeah, thank you.
Definitely looking forward to The Fetus. And I'm going to play the trailer a little bit later in the show.
Awesome.
I play right now, but I do not have it set up. But I will play it a little bit later in the show.
All good. Yeah.
All right. Good luck with everything.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, that was fun. Joe's a cool guy. I'm really looking forward to The Fetus.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's got people we like in it, not just because he was here talking to us. It was Laura. There are people who tell me I shouldn't say that because, then it gives away that I might not really like a movie if I don't say, "Oh, I really like this," and I'm not just saying it because you're here. And then I'd be like, I really like this. And then I don't say that part. They're like, aha, he's lying.
Yep. Well, you see, you're kind of known for wearing everything on your sleeve. You don't, usually not a flim flam person.
The flim flam man, exactly.
No, you're not.
So we've gotten some new little 8-bit emojis here. If you want to help support Without Your Head, and you can become a member on the YouTube. And one of these things you can get are these cool little emojis. We got Frankenstein monster, we got Dracula, we got Leatherface, and we've got Jason Voorhees. These are all made by me. That's the extent of my artistic skills. No, but they're pretty cool.
They are mad cool. I love them.
Yeah. And in the coming weeks, we're going to be filming a teaser for Arbor Day.
All excited about this. Like, definitely my artistic juices are flowing. Feeling good. Got a bunch of cool ideas. I'm liking it. It's been fun brainstorming with you and Annabelle, throwing ideas around. Seeing what's going down.
Yeah, so Arbor Day will be our feature. Yeah, the Without Your Head feature film, Arbor Day. We're going to shoot the teaser, and then we're going to have a crowdfunder. I'm not sure where yet. Indiegogo, maybe. I've been asking my filmmaker friends, and a lot of them, even though they themselves all use Indiegogo, they hate Indiegogo. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it'll be on one of them, and we have some fun perks already in the works.
Cool.
But the main thing is to help us fund this movie. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we're all excited anyway. So throw some pesos, and we'll make it even quicker.
Hey, we got Taz, the resident artist, here saying hello. She's cool. We have Coast LPA, Coast to Coast, saying hello, Troy.
Coast's a good scout. I love him dearly.
Annabelle will not be on tonight. It does not look like.
She's here in like spirit.
Exactly.
I can feel her vibes in the air.
In a little bit, we'll have Courtney Dixon on. You made the short film Depression is a Beast that's playing at Tribeca Film Festival.
Nice.
So this weekend, Troy, I went to see Rarities of Boris Karloff.
Oh, now that sounded like fun. That sounded like something I would have liked to have attended.
Yeah, at the Brattle Theater in Cambridge, near Harvard. It's in Harvard Square. And so what it was, Sarah Karloff was in attendance, who's the daughter of Boris Karloff.
Nice.
And it was a guy called Dr. Film, and he preserves old film, 35 millimeter, 60 millimeter film, 8 millimeter film. And so they didn't tell you what it was going to be. They just said it was going to be rare Boris Karloff. I didn't know if it was going to be movies or what. So it ended up being the first thing they showed was an episode of the Rosemary Clooney show.
Whoa.
From like the 50s or something.
George Clooney's mom.
Yeah,
That's kind of wacky.
Old black and white show. Either the 50s or the 60s. And it was like a variety show. It was a lot of singing. She had like a barbershop quartet that would come out and sing.
Did Karloff sing?
Yeah, so Karloff was I guess they have a guest like each week.
Whoa.
So he was part of all the little skits, and he sang the music. And
did he sound like the guy that does him in the Monster Mash? Did he sound like that?
No.
I'm
a big Boris Karloff fan. I have a lot of Frankenstein stuff around here and the Mummy, but nothing against Mr. Karloff, but not the greatest singer.
Oh, okay.
Not the greatest singer. And Sarah Karloff said that she's not a fan of seeing her dad sing or hear her dad sing. But so that was weird. So they did a Little Red Riding Hood, and it was a little creepy because he kept saying about lovely young lady or beautiful young lady, and there was a lot of weird innuendo. And this was like 60 years ago, so and then they sang a song at the end that was really weird about basically saying like you'd be surprised, like in the daylight he's not so great looking, but in the night you'd be surprised. And she was like, in the whatever, he's maybe not, but when you're sitting on his knee, you'd be surprised. I was like, what is this?
Wow. Yeah,
he's
that's
like
uncomfortable.
Yeah, and he's like 50 years older than her and stuff. So that was a little weird.
Yeah, I bet.
It was enjoyable in a weird way. And then they showed an episode of The Veil, which is like a Twilight Zone kind of a deal. It was like a weekly show, short stories.
And did you say he was the host of that?
Yeah, he's the host of that, and he was in the one they showed.
Oh, all right.
So he's not in
Which
all
is
of
kind
them.
of weird because he had his own, Boris Karloff Presents.
Mm-hmm.
They even, I think it was a Gold Key comic too, which was kind of neat.
Yeah, they said it only lasted 13 episodes.
Oh, all right. They probably tried a ton of that kind of stuff since like Twilight Zone and Outer Limits were such big hits. Probably like a million different. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Boris Karloff Presents.
Yeah,
they probably
and a lot
grabbed
of them are
everybody they could.
Right, and I think a lot of them are just lost in time.
Yeah, which maybe it's okay for some of them.
Yeah, but it's cool that a guy like this, the Dr. Film, he preserves this stuff because otherwise a lot of this would just be lost.
Yeah, that would be sad.
Yeah, no copy he had, because it was from a bootlegger. He said, and he said bootleggers actually have helped conserve a lot of this stuff because they actually care about it. But so the bootlegger, though, back in the day, like he cut off the beginning and the end where they show the credits. That was so he could avoid like prosecution or whatever.
That's probably wise on his part, I would think.
But then that part's lost. So it's weird.
Yeah.
And then the best part though was the last thing was from the Sarah Karloff collection, and that was This Is Your Life, Boris Karloff.
Oh, now that must have been a blast.
Yeah, that was great. And so you could tell he's really shocked. So he's in the audience. He's like often on the side with him and his wife and some other people. And they talk about Boris being a big fan, and he watches the show a lot. And then they're like, and this week, This Is Your Life, Boris. And he was like, his eyes get real big. And Sarah said that like he loved the show and would go out to eat with the host a lot, and he would go and watch the show. But he always adamant he never wanted to be on the show. So,
okay.
And he was legit annoyed that like his wife, and
so they swerved him on that one.
Yeah, but it was cool. People don't know This Is Your Life. They bring out like people from the person's life. Like they brought out an old I think it was like a high school kid he knew.
Oh wow!
And so he really lit up when that guy came out because I don't think he had seen him for like 60 years or something.
Oh, that's wild.
And they had the guy who did the makeup from the original Frankenstein. That was wild.
Ooh, that's awesome. I bet some of our former
like Craig Lindbergh.
Yeah, would love that.
And so they all bring a gift, and he brought the original knob from Frankenstein's neck and gave it to him.
Oh, that must have been totally cool.
Yeah, that was wild. And I knew what is it? What's the play?
Arsenic and
Old Lace. So I've never seen it, so I didn't know really a lot about it. But apparently, in that story, the like a killer, like gets plastic surgery, look like Boris Karloff.
Yep.
And in the play, it was played by Boris Karloff.
See, that must have been the coolest thing. I wish I would have been, around for that one.
Yeah, and so that was cool. And they had the people, and Sarah talked about they did a Q&A after, and they asked Sarah why Boris wasn't in the movie, because I guess the rest of the cast from the play were in the movie.
Oh, okay.
And Boris didn't want to do the movie because the play would have to end, and he didn't want the play to end because of him.
Oh, wow.
So he decided to keep doing the play instead of film the movie.
See, that's so cool, because there's a side of Karloff that I never knew. Like,
yeah.
Because you knew like Lugosi had done Dracula, like, done the play version before the movie. But like you never heard any of that jazz like with Karloff. I never knew he did any
Yeah.
like stage acting. Never knew it.
So yeah, that was great. That was a really, it was a unique experience seeing the stuff on the big screen, and Boris and that Sarah, his daughter was there. It was a real cool time. So
Oh, that's great.
if you're in the Boston area, they do stuff like that. And if not, you should check out your local independent theaters, because a lot of these theaters do some cool events. And if you don't go, support them.
Yep. Always do that. Then, like, because you never know, they might come back with even like cooler things, or like, repeat that same kind of thing and going forward.
Yeah.
You really, there's no downside. Yeah.
Right. And if you support it, then they'll do more of it.
Yep. And I know, like, the Brattle and the Coolidge, like, have both done like a lot of things where they brought in, different actors or directors from different movies to talk about jazz, and like, they do that quite frequently, which is really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when we saw Immaculate. They had the director there via Zoom.
Oh, that's too cool. And I know, like, Bruce Campbell's been. I think that was at the Coolidge when they were showing Evil Dead. And they had like a Q&A with him, and like that would be a ton of fun, I think.
Next time I go to Coolidge after midnight, I've been wanting to do this song. Coolidge after midnight, movies till the dawn. And if it's Halloween, 12-hour marathon. So we'll have to work on that.
That's pretty good. You just got to get like your BB King, like somebody's doing something bad to you, like pained face when you're doing that. All right. So I think like all the great guitarists, you have to have like that.
That's all I need. I clearly have the skills. I just need.
You got the vocals. You got everything else.
Yeah, I can write the lyrics.
Need the face. Yeah,
lyrical genius. Many have said.
Just picture somebody sticking like a rusty like knitting needle into your urethra and get that face.
I mean, some people would find that pleasant.
That like BB King like face.
Right. Yeah, because I would not, but there's some people into that.
Oh yeah. I don't kink shame. If that's your trip, that's fine.
Yeah, Jittery John, that's his deal.
Yep, that's his thing. That's cool.
JD out there. So speaking of that, it has no relevance whatsoever. But Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the video game's coming up.
Oh, no way. That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, it's going to be one where you can play online with other people, like the Friday the 13th and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one.
Those games look like a lot of fun. I've never played any of them, but they do look pretty cool.
I've watched some videos of I tried the Friday the 13th one. I was really bad at it, which made it good. Because I haven't played video
games. I probably wouldn't be good at that either.
Yeah. But I've watched videos of people playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one, and it is cool because you can play the family, and then you can also play the victims, and so the victims have to try to run around and escape, and then if you're the family, you have to try to run around and kill everybody.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the Killer Clowns. I assume the same idea. It's probably
you
can play the clowns or the people. Coast remembers Killer Clowns. Same era as Killer Tomatoes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I can't remember all the other crazy stuff that goes with that, though.
George Clooney is actually in the sequel.
That's right.
Attack of the That was his big break. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes Part 2. You think we could get George Clooney on and talk about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 2?
I wouldn't see why not. I think he'd be down with that.
Yeah, he's also in Grizzly too.
See, it could have been a whole different career for that man.
Yeah, he should come back and be in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 3.
Are they making a 3?
No, I don't know. If George Clooney said he wanted to do it, I bet they would.
They probably would then. Although, I don't think I've seen George Clooney in anything in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what he's been in. The 90s remake of War of the Worlds has more horror than sci-fi in my opinion. Is that the one with what's his name? Tom Cruise?
I enjoyed that movie. I don't think I like it as much as the original one, but I still didn't mind it at all.
Oh, the series, he says.
Oh, the series. I've never seen it.
I don't think I did either. Said they were like body snatchers. So they remade War of the Worlds and then instead made it Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Which is okay. That's kind of neat too.
Yeah, that works. Have you seen the trailer for Megalopolis?
No, what the hell is that?
This is a movie Francis Ford Coppola's been wanting to make for like decades, but never could get the money. And he finally got it made, and like he ran out of money.
Though.
Yeah, just one night he put it out on his own YouTube. I think
that's
a
awesome.
couple nights ago. It looks awesome. I'm very
all right. I'll have to look that bad boy up then.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's made a couple movies you may have heard of back in.
Yeah, he's not so bad.
Not so bad, and this is his like passion project. I like dystopian future movies, so got a lot of stuff working. I like Adam Driver.
Yep. Oh, he's in it. Nice.
So I'm down. Megalopolis. I tried to get Francis Ford Coppola on the show before, but he didn't reply to me.
No.
It was the same year we had Paul Schrader.
Oh, okay.
Because it was the 40th anniversary of Cat People, and it was the 30th anniversary of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, okay. That's pretty nifty.
Yeah. I was like, would he want to come on and talk about this movie? And just silence. Which is what I expected from both of them, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Paul Schrader was all about it.
Coppola's got to be pretty old now, I would think.
Yeah, because he made making movies for like 50 years.
Yeah.
Look that up. He hasn't made like a big movie in a long time because like the Vietnam movie so what's his big Vietnam movie? Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
And the Godfather movies like really took it out of him, and then he made mostly like smaller movies.
I think you deal with Brando that much. You just, you go crazy a little bit.
Probably.
Which, it's like Brando is kind of a force of nature. And so I could see that kind of happening,
Yeah. He was, he's 85.
Oh, wow.
By the way, anyone out there, if you join the new Without Your Head, the Nation of Decapitation, if you help support the show, you will get, as a thank you, a Without Your Head sticker. Nice. And some random horror movie stickers. Which I will. So if you join tonight, you'll get one of these, and you also get a thanks in the credits of the show. And you'll get all the other perks. And you'll help out the show.
Which is always good.
Exactly. Francis Ford Coppola. So wake up, Francis. If you know it's good for you, come on Without Your Head. But Roger Corman passed away.
Yep. I did see that. And then I saw a lot of great little, write-ups about the man and his career and everything, after he died. And he was, 98?
Yeah, and he's still
he was up there. Oh, yeah, which is awesome. Good for him.
Yeah, he still looked good. And he was always traveling around. And I tried to get him on the show several times over the years, but never worked out. But responsible for like so many movies and for the start of so many people's careers.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he was, I think, the only guy that was close to, he wasn't like just working at one place for as long as like Al Jaffe's thing was, he worked for Mad for, I think, 70 years.
Wow.
And, he was 99 when he retired from Mad Magazine, which is pretty wicked too.
Yeah.
And then he lived to be 101. So he had 2 years after he retired. He lived it up, I bet.
Yeah. He's living large, and
Yep.
king of the B movies, Roger Corman.
Oh yeah.
Be cool. Maybe we could do a Roger Corman month and try to get some folks on from Roger. I mean, that's a vast thing. Like, there's many of them out there.
Oh, that would be awesome. We could even do a 13 if everybody's up for it.
Yeah. So Rigo, who we had on, was it last week? Yeah, Rigo from Blackout, from Larry Fessenden's Blackout. Really cool guest, was on the show. Did a really long interview with us, and I was talking to him off the air. He'd like to come back and do a 13, and his idea was Evil Dolls.
Oh, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I'll start writing them down right now.
Yeah, I think this is a
I'll
good
have
idea.
12 of them down before this show ends today.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I mean, we could do the movies too, but I'm thinking maybe just the dolls themselves, like one of our favorite dolls.
That'd be kind of neat, because then you might get a few from the same movie.
Exactly. Then maybe we'll do the top 6 movies separately or something.
Okay, I like this. That's good.
We'll figure it out.
So
I like this
the
idea.
dolls, huh?
Yeah,
The evil dolls. So
he's
cool.
making his next movie he's making right now is an evil ventriloquist dummy movie.
I love them.
And no spoilers, but the dummy looks very much like a friend of ours, and I believe they may be the voice. I'm not positive.
Ooh.
We're not allowed to say or anything, but
I am definitely intrigued now.
I'm very excited about this. Evil dolls. So that's why I asked the group the other day their favorite evil dolls. And
I like it.
A lot of ones that everyone would do, but then there was some stuff that I'd actually even hadn't seen before. So.
Was the Black Devil doll there?
It was not.
What?
No Black Devil doll. That would be a good one.
Yep.
So coming up, Severed Limbs. We just had Severed Limbs 16. So Severed Limbs 17, I think, will be in July. And that will be our Ice Cream Man theme, Severed Limbs. So get your horror shorts together. And they can even be older ones. So Joe Lamb was on here if you want to submit his short. We're pretty lenient on genre. When I say horror, it could be weird, underground, sci-fi, thriller, as long as it's, somewhere around there.
Yep.
Don't send in like a short
crazy
romantic
in general.
Yeah.
Anything kind of wacky, crazy.
Right.
We dig them.
Coast. It was Mancuso Productions, he believes, the War of the Worlds. I don't remember that, honestly.
No, me either. Must not have been on for too long. Or if it was, I just didn't notice it.
Yeah. Joe had brought up, uh-oh.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I heard your voice went weird there for a second. I was just going to say, Joe brought up In a Violent Nature, which I'm really excited about seeing. And Rye Barrett, who plays the killer in that, will be on the show in June.
Oh, too cool. I like it.
So what were you about to say?
Oh, I was going to say that season 2 of Anne Rice Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, I never watched the first season.
Week. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it's not... Usually I've got a problem when they don't stick real close to the source material, but it's kind of like you're hearing the story all over again, but this time through like Louis now instead of Louis back in the 70s, where he's telling the writer, his story. So some of the things like he may have embellished before and now he's coming clean. So it's neat. It's a completely different take on it.
That actually goes in line with the first 2 novels because
You're right.
Louis and Lestat have different views on a lot of the things that happen.
Yep.
Interesting. In a weird way, that kind of reminds the new It. I mean, it's a different idea, but it was updated to make it about kids who grew up in, 20 years after, the It story. So it's like in the 80s as opposed to like kids in the 60s.
Yep.
I don't mind that stuff.
No.
As long as you keep the feel, I think.
Yeah, yep. And the 2 actors they got, well, actually the 3, because Lestat Louis and who's the little girl?
I forget, but
I
she's
do
very
too.
creepy in the book.
She is. Like, they change her up probably the most because she's, I think, 15 in this one. So, like, that character's a little different, but the actress is really good in it. And I don't know. I really dug it. I thought it was great, the season 1. I haven't started the season 2 yet.
Yeah, in the book, she's like 11. And it's, I think,
Yeah, she's like a little doll,
Yeah, it's
She's
creepy enough you do it at all. But it's there's things you can do in books and stuff that's hard to pull off in a show.
True.
And not just like put everybody off, like what
Yeah.
they're watching.
Yep. Without creeping out everybody
Yeah.
and going, eee.
Like, I don't think we'll ever see the ritual of Chud in an adaptation of it for TV or movie.
I don't see that either. You're right.
And Dexter, even though the first season is very close to the original book, he's a much darker character in the book. And I think if you make him too dark in the show, you still want him to be likable.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be hard to pull off. So I get that stuff.
Yep.
And like,
some things like you just kind of, just over the years, some things have kind of changed and like,
right.
Things that used to be kind of like, whoa, that's kind of odd, or kind of like, whoa, don't be doing that shit anymore.
Right. And people have to realize that. And then I think sometimes when people look back at stuff, you have to realize it's from another era. And
oh yeah. Yep.
You can't always judge everything today or things from the past based on what we think today.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Film Modit 2.0 is June 12th through 16th in California. It's a horror. Well, it's not a horror. It's a movie festival, independent movie festival. And we'll be having the promoter of that on the show.
Oh, nice.
And possibly some of the filmmakers. A lot of weird stuff going to be playing there.
I like it.
We like weird stuff.
Weird is always our trip. Weird is always good.
The Strangers reboot opens this weekend.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So what's different about it from the original?
Honestly, it looks exactly like the original to me. So, I don't know. I'm gonna go see it because I see everything, especially every horror movie that comes out. But
right.
It's a weird one to remake. It's not very old, so it seems like it's. I don't know. Maybe it's older than I think, but I think it's only like 10 years old. Let me look it up. But it's not that old. And they give away now. They've already said this is going to be a trilogy, which I even think doing 2 of the original Strangers was a bit of a push. Like, I don't know. There's not a lot of story in the movie to do like a trilogy in my mind. So maybe they're expanding, the world of the Strangers. I don't know. Same like Masks from the Strangers. And for people, 2008, so it's a little older than I think 16 years ago. For people who've never seen the original Strangers, or they have seen whatever, the end of the Strangers of the original movie is given away in the trailer of the new one. So I don't know if it's ending the same way or if this is just like part of it, but that was odd.
Yeah, if they are going to stick with the same thing, that seems kind of dumb, really.
Yeah. So I don't have high hopes for it, but I'm going to go in and watch it. I also feel like those kind of masks, like just like the these stationary masks, like, I don't know. I think they've been overdone. It's, it's not quite like this, but
it's kind of
like this and so many things.
Yeah, I think that may have played out. I don't know. That was one of those movies, like, I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, I don't either. It's not. I don't tend to really like a lot of home invasion movies.
Yeah. You really have to, like, do something different. Like, I like that one with the blind guy.
I do too.
Like, I thought that one was really
cool.
cool.
That one's really good. Straw Dogs is really good. That's old movie.
Oh yeah, yep. I never saw the remake of that one.
Yeah, it's all right.
That's not great.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people really like Stranger. Just I don't know. Does it have enough of a? It's not like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's got this really giant following. So it's I don't know. It's a weird one to remake to me, but we'll see. Maybe it'll take off. I mean, it's always weird to go into a movie saying it's a trilogy, because what if no one likes this first one?
Yep. That one's always tough for me too. It was kind of like when they started doing these latest Alien ones, and it's like, all right, it's going to be a trilogy. Yeah, but the first one sucked. I'll never watch the other two now. Yeah. So,
well, this new one is. I think this new one's like more of an Alien movie. So I don't think.
Oh, okay. So they forgot about that shit completely.
Yeah,
that's good.
So. And like the new Exorcist was like, I actually thought it was fine. I don't think it's great by any means, but I didn't think it was as. People are saying it's the worst we've ever made. It's definitely.
Oh yeah, I heard some really bad things about it.
Yeah, I don't even think it's the worst Exorcist movie made, but it's better than Exorcist 2. Yeah. So it was all right, but it was like really panned by everybody, and they already announced it's a trilogy. So it's like, well, what do you do? Like, no one. This has no following. A few people think it's okay, but we have to just keep going for it anyway and make 3 of them. Like, why?
Yeah, that's kind of like, I don't know. I wouldn't.
Wasn't Remo Williams was like billed as part 1?
Oh my God, you're right. I forgot all about that.
But they didn't. Like, we were just forced to keep making more of these.
There's a movie I've forgotten completely over the years. If I watched it right now, it would probably be a brand new movie to me.
John Morrow says hello. He's on Facebook here.
Tell him we say hola.
Hello, Mr. Morrow. For people who don't know, he's someone we grew up with. John Morrow is a good man.
I think he's in the Arizona area now.
Oh. That's where they make iced tea.
Oh, you're right. In glass bottles.
Exactly. I think we might go to a quick break before the next guest comes on, but we'll be back before she comes on. I'm actually going to go refill my tea.
That's a good plan.
We're going to do that quick. I'm going to play something here. Then when we come back, I'm going to play the trailer for the Fetus that we just talked about, and then we'll come back, talk some more horror, and we'll get the second guest on. How's that sound? All right, so we'll be right back. I'm going to play a quick video here, and we'll be right back.
Well, we got to bring up, of course, one of the most famous lines in the movie is Wolfman has nards.
I have a great story with that.
Okay. You want to tell us?
Yeah, that was a stunt double, by the way, that kicked me in the nards.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was a stunt double who got kicked.
Yeah, it wasn't Brent, and I really want to, send out. I'd written somewhere as well. I didn't know Brent that much, but when I heard that he had passed away, I just thought that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was only 22.
Yeah, so young, 22 years old, I think, when he died too. You know, and it's honestly, it's guys like that inspire me, anyways, and everything that I do, because I feel so blessed to be this age and still, my film The Garage is about my friend who was killed at 21 years old also, and these guys didn't get to go on and live the life that we did, and I don't know, I just those kind of things. I think it was just a sad thing to hear that he died, but he had a stunt double to kick me, and I remember they gave me a cup that day to wear, and I told the stunt double, I said, just picture yourself kicking a football, because he kept kicking me and it didn't look real,
Right.
And I tried to do my own coaching to him, right, and I thought I knew better, and I said, just like you're lining up a football, just as hard as you can. And I didn't think he could get, that it would hurt through a cup, but boy, I went up to my knees from the stunt double that day, and I don't know, I won't recommend that ever
again. Did you think that line would be so popular?
Had no idea. They took it out of the film, didn't they, at one time? Somebody, I just...
Really?
Yeah, I'm on a...
Maybe when they show it on TV, maybe they do.
They said they took it out at the time because it was, nards was not allowed.
No nards! All right, here is the fetus.
On Valentine's Day, say those 2 words that every woman wants to hear. You're pregnant.
No, that can't be right. He always wears a condom.
He also wasn't wearing one last night either.
Oh, shit. When are you telling me pregnant? Huh?
I'll tell him as soon as we're done eating.
Alyssa said you had a dog. Where's he?
Dog's dead.
Damn.
Oh. He's legit? What was it like in Nam?
Chris.
Yeah. You weren't kidding.
Weren't you? Vietnam. Really?
I caught myself. No, just be careful with it.
Yeet. Damn. That is the fetus. We get to see a little monster coming out. Believe, Troy, you're muted.
You're right.
Aha!
There might have been a reason for that.
Yeah. You were too... we didn't want to hear you screaming at the fetus.
I was like, ah.
But that looks good. It has me excited. Anytime you have a monster fetus, I'm down, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Get that cool, like, It's Alive kind of vibe coming from it.
Yeah.
And I'm always down with that.
Yeah. So if you mentioned a sequel, what will the sequel be? The toddler? The baby?
Yes. That could be.
The afterbirth? So I'll be down. We know it's good. We saw the condom in the trailer. We didn't see the knife in the trailer, so I'm not sure how the knife is involved.
Maybe Joe just likes to carry around a knife, just in case.
Could be. Could be. I actually have one here.
Whoa.
I carry a, this isn't the one I carry around, but I do carry a Swiss Army knife in my pocket.
Nice. I got an X-Acto knife.
Really? That's a lot more dangerous.
I can even shave with this.
Yeah, I don't know. You shave your skin off.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I would not recommend shaving with a with an X-Acto knife.
No, probably not a good idea.
Teddy Cuddles from Christopher Outridge, who won several awards at this year's Severed Limbs. He's got a new movie, Teddy Cuddles.
I like the name.
Yeah, it's got a crowdfunder that's popped up. We're gonna have him on in June to talk about the movie with some of the cast members.
Nice.
It also a Killer Dolls movie, so it's got a killer stuffed bear.
Nice, I like it.
Which I'm down for. Maybe it could make a future list.
Oh yeah.
You gotta love killer bears and animals and dolls and.
I love it all.
Exactly. So hit the like button, subscribe to Without Your Head, share it out to everybody out there. Hit that little bell icon so you get notifications when we're live, and also join and help support the show if you can. So last year we had interviewed Charles Band from Full Moon Horror, and he made a passion project that he was making for years, The Prime Evils.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a old school stop motion movie. And they have a box set out now.
Ooh.
With the Blu-ray and pins.
Ooh.
Comes in a cool like crate.
Oh, I'm down. I am totally down with that.
It's pretty great.
I love the crate.
Yeah. And the whole story behind it, like they started at like the idea of it in like the 80s. And they actually filmed it like in the 90s. And then like things fell through and they finally finished the movie in modern day.
Wow.
And the original guy who's doing the stop motion had passed away a long time ago. And
wow.
So it was really important to Charles to finish the movie.
No, that's awesome.
It's a really fun movie, for old school stop motion fans like myself.
Mm-hmm. I'm always down with that.
Yeah. This is not today, but it's the 40th anniversary of Basket Case.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. I never would have guessed that.
No, it's sweet. We were going to try to get Kevin Van Hentenryck back on the show to talk about it. We never had Frank Henenlotter, but I've asked him a few times, but he doesn't like to talk about his own movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, would he come on and just shoot the shit about something else?
It's possible. It'll be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask him. Maybe he'll do a 13 with us.
That'd be tremendous.
His favorite 13 movies that aren't Basket Case.
Favorite 13 that he didn't make.
Right. That are very non-Frank Henenlotter films.
Yep.
That have no connection to Mr. Henenlotter. But yeah, we had Gregory Lamberson on last week who he had worked on some of the early Henenlotter movies. So
oh yeah?
Yeah, that's how he got his not a guest star, but that's what he was doing early on.
Wow.
And he's got the werewolf movie coming out, Frenzy Moon, which you can help get made. I'm glad that werewolves
I
are
just dug
starting
the
to
puppet thing, you know, like
isn't that great?
Yeah, I loved it.
Our friend Adrian was helping puppeteer it. Nice. So I didn't know how that worked, and Joe had brought up too how like a lot of movies today will use digital effects, but doesn't mean like the CG. So like they puppeteered the werewolf with like pulleys and stuff, but then they use the digital effects to actually remove that.
Oh, okay.
So you don't see the strings and the sticks and stuff.
Oh, that's kind of cool. That's actually a great thing. A great idea.
Yeah. So it seems, I think that would take a long time because I think you have to do it frame by frame.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure. But.
Yeah, that's probably one thing that, like, asking your computer for a little help would be a good thing. Like,
you get the AI
for me,
Right. Yeah, see, people against AI, and I don't think AI just making your whole movie is great, but maybe you could say, hey, AI, take all this stuff out, and it just does it. Saves you time.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just doing it your whole hand. Have you seen Long Legs? This movie looks so freaky.
Oh, yeah. Totally looking forward to that, too. Which is so neat, because, like, just the last movie we saw with Nick Cage in it, he's, like, the most, like, calm and, relaxed guy in a crazy environment, like, trying to keep his kids happy and healthy. And, these monsters are jumping around everywhere. And now he looks completely like Berserko in this one. So Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know. So I was just replying because we're getting some patches made for something. So
Nice.
people will find out there very soon. But yeah, it's like I don't know, his newer movies, all these weird indie horror movies. I think for me that's my favorite Nicolas Cage stuff.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
He seems to be loving it himself, having a good time. I think it comes through
Yep.
in the movies. And I like that they don't put out very much about Long Legs. You really don't know what it's about.
Yeah, I dig that too.
So many movies, they put out too much, honestly.
Yep. I thought that was nice about his last one too. Like, you didn't really know what was scratching at the door at night, you know, and all that jazz. So I dug that.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before a few times, but like Abigail, they really ruined the first half hour of the movie because the movie's set up to be a mystery of what's happening, and then, but going in that she's a vampire.
Yeah, yeah, that's got to kind of like pull the plug right away.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird choice, and I know you can't just go remake your movie after the trailer's out there, but I don't know. People should have got together, even like, we're going to promote this movie one way, so let's not make it. It doesn't matter that she's a vampire, right, to begin with. You know what I mean? You could do that and just kind of wink at the camera, like, "Oh man, these people don't know that she's a vampire." Because there's no way, if you've seen a trailer or a poster or anything about the movie, like, it was clear she's a vampire. They were promoted it as a vampire movie,
and all the trailers I saw, like, it wasn't even like subtle. It was boom. Here she is. She's like,
she's a
chomping on people and flying around and doing all of her vampire stuff, which looked wicked cool to me.
So here's there's a picture here of me in Arbor Day as Steve. This is probably exactly what I'll be looking like in the movie.
Where are you, Steve?
Steve! Like, he's ready for trouble, ready to fight some trees. Ready to kick some ass. Some rocking gloves on there.
You're not kidding. Wow.
I grew my hair out for the movie.
Yep, that was, man, I'll tell you. You go the full mile for your films.
Exactly.
You're like,
once we knew it was coming up, I was like, well, I guess start letting this hair grow out.
Yep.
Keep it covered up for the show here.
Well, I remember, like that one movie, you gained like 200 pounds for it, and then, lost it for your next movie, and
yeah, it's like people have compared me to the Robert De Niro of our generation.
I can see that. Would De Niro get his belly button removed?
That's true. I did that just for the short film.
Yep, I know.
For a 4-minute short film. It wasn't even, like a 3-hour epic or something. Boom. So let's see. AMC. I'm looking up the AMC. I think that's the only horror movie playing. Oh, by the way, I saw the TV Glow last week. This is one of my favorite movies of the year.
Wow.
It's super weird. I thought it was just fantastic. It's got kind of a feel of a David Lynch kind of movie, but it's like, it's about like a kid show, and these two young people are like, obsessed with it, and it's told throughout, like, it starts when they're kids, and it goes like a couple years in the future, then 5 years, and 10 years, and then 20 years after that, and it's it's told throughout different times. Very weird movie. The ending is kind of, vague exactly what's happening, but I like that about movies. So yeah, I was into it. I loved it.
All right, cool.
And
I'll have
Tarot,
to check that one out.
Yeah, it's really weird. Might be too weird for you. I don't know. It all depends. But Tarot was surprisingly good. I saw mostly negative reviews, and then I went to see it. And it's not like going to change the landscape of horror or anything, but it was a fun horror movie. It was very much like Final Destination, but with tarot cards.
Okay. All right, I'm down with that.
Yeah, the kids were likable. The ghost, whatever they are, ghost spirits, they look great, and all the kills were fun. It's good.
Yeah, it looked like a decent flick from the trailer I saw.
Yeah, it was a fun time at the theater watching a horror movie.
Yeah,
the kids were likable.
Sometimes that's all you can ask for. It's more than you get a lot of times.
Yeah, it's got the one kid from the MCU Spider-Man movies. He plays his buddy.
Oh, okay. Plays Ned.
Ned. He reminds me of a friend of mine, Bob Rose. So I've just named him the Hawaiian Bob Rose.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. It was just a good time. Is it gonna be on my top list? Probably not, but it was enjoyable, fun time. I had a good time.
Remember the last one we saw with that kid was really fun too. Oh God, I can't remember. It was one of those. It was only like a 1-day showing, and he was going to a haunt.
Oh yeah. What was that called? That came and went. Like people. Because there are two movies that came out that were very similar, and one we liked, and one was pretty lame. The one was a bigger budget one, and we didn't think it was particularly good at all, but it played wider. And then this other one, they were both similar movies about going to like a carnival or fair.
Yep.
That one was really good. I liked that. Man, I can't remember the name of it. It's too bad.
Yeah, and he was really good in that too. So I wonder
I
if
didn't even realize he was in it.
Like secretly like the big horror nerd, and like, we'll start to see him doing like more of those roles.
Yeah. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah, how was it?
I really liked it. Now, when I posted on Facebook, I probably don't like it as good as the last trilogy, but I still really liked it. It's just I love the last trilogy, and I love the original movies. I kind of think it might be my favorite franchise, where I think all of them are good.
Yeah. Yep.
Because maybe this franchise I might like one movie better or whatever, but I don't think there's
there's always a few duds along the way.
Yeah, there's really none where all of them I think are good movies.
Yep.
So the original, what is it, 4 or is it 5? The original one, 5?
5, I believe, because I think you got Planet of the Apes, Beneath,
Return,
and then I think 3 in the more modern era. So I think 5.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think it's Return, then like Conquest and whatever,
and Battle 4.
Right. So I like, or it might be Battle 4 then Conquest. I'm not sure, but I like all those. I think the first movie is one of the best, the masterpiece, one of the best movies ever made. One of the best, maybe the best ending of any movie.
Agreed. It's tough to find a better one. That one just, and that movie actually has everything going on. Like the makeup is just like, for that time period was just
and it still holds up.
It
still holds up. And then the third one I think is the best sequel, where they go back in time.
Yep.
And second one is a really weird movie, but it's really good. I think the only bad part about Beneath Planet of the Apes is that Charlton Heston is like barely in it, because I think like
you just see him kind of at the end.
I think he was supposed to be in it more, but like he didn't want to do it or something. And then
maybe he had another role too that he was doing at the time. I can't remember.
Yeah, then the other two are good, but they're not as good as the other one, as the first 3, I don't think. But they're good. Maybe the 5th one's not quite as good. And then these new ones. I still like it. And then then the last trilogy I thought was just outstanding. Like that took me by surprise how good the first one was.
What I'd like to go back and see is like the series version. Like the
I have it on DVD. I watched it. It was probably like 20 years ago when I got it, but it came in a big head, a big ape head.
Oh, cool.
Which is really like a big waste of space, because then it had like a little box about this big with like the 5 discs or whatever. But
I remember though the Mego figures from the the series I loved, and
and they had a bunch of like stuff for them too, like vehicles.
Oh yeah, and that was what was neat about the series too, because they had like all the cities were made out of like basically like twisted wood and like vines and things, like they did a lot with trying to make it look kind of old and
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of vibe that had, like that ancient ape.
Yeah, it's
world.
old, but it's like they're remaking stuff from the past, but like you know, I believe we have Courtney here.
And the animated series I enjoyed at the time, but I haven't seen it in a million years.
Yeah, that's good. All right, and we're well, we haven't left, but we are now joined by Courtney Dixon of Depression is a Beast. It's very cool to have you here.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so it's going to be playing at Tribeca Film Festival, which is huge. Congratulations!
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely like a good day when I got that email.
Yeah. And so for people who aren't aware yet, can you explain what Depression is a Beast is?
It is a documentary kind of tackling depression. It's through just a central story of Jenna Kanell, who is a horror film actor, and she's just kind of tells her story about depression.
So which came first? Like, did you have the idea to make this, or did you just interview her? Like, what was the process of putting this together?
Well, actually, I have a 2-year-old now, but right after I had her, she was probably about 6 months old. I was going through pretty severe postpartum depression. And so I kind of was like up at night reading random articles, finding my way on Reddit, just finding, rabbit holes as you do at 3 or 4 in the morning. And I ended up on a New York Times article about horror films and how they can be really therapeutic for depression or anxiety. And that just kind of, I had never looked at it from that perspective. I don't know why. I just never looked at it from that perspective. So I was like, that's a really cool idea. And then it kind of, my mind just went into this, like, what if a horror film made a PSA? And then I was just like piecing together this story. And then I kind of like let it sit, and I just kind of started to think about, okay, well, who could I follow? What could I look for? And I started trying to look for someone actually on Instagram, and I was searching tags. And so I would search like, depression, mental health issues, like all these different tags. So much so that Instagram, actually, I got a message from Instagram on my app that said,
"Oh,
are you okay?"
like we're flagged, like right, yeah. Well, that's good, I guess.
Are you good? Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I need to go a different route. And a friend of mine is a director of horror films, Ray, who actually did Faceless in the Dark with Jenna.
Oh,
and so I reached out to him. Is so good. Yeah. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, you don't by chance know anybody that would be into this? And then he was like, let me introduce you to Jenna. So,
oh, wow.
And that's how it all came to be.
And really weird. I just, we had Jenna on the show when the first Terrifier came out, before it really blew up. And then I just interviewed her a couple days ago for Faceless in the Dark, which I can't post till tomorrow when the movie comes out. But it was a really weird coincidence, because then I got an email about Depression is a Beast, and I was like, oh wow, this is just a weird thing. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, you are using clips from Faceless in the Dark.
Yeah, definitely. They kind of, actually I was able to see it, way before it came out, and it worked out so well that they were kind of coming out together at the same time. So it was a really fun process to see them, and, they're just doing so great, on their press tour and it releasing. So I'm really excited for them.
Yeah. And so, you said like originally, like make like a PSA or so. How different, like from your original concept of this to when you actually talked to Jenna? Like how different from like, oh, I'm going to make it this way till you actually talk to her?
It's funny. I had I started to put, like, typically when I'm doing a project or when I even get this wild idea in my mind, I'll start putting together a treatment. And so I'll start pulling references of things that I wanted to be, all these crazy ideas. So I had everything from like just, I'm trying to think of reference. House was one that I like loved, and I was really trying to pull things from that. And I was like, how can I pull in some stuff from this? So I had a lot of references from that. But then, when I did find Jenna, and I knew whoever I found, it was going to have to feel like them. And Jenna's character, she's just a natural badass. There's just something about her. So it was like, I needed to lean into that versus what some of the ideas that I had previously. So it really became like about we did pre-interviews. We did probably 4 pre-interviews before we filmed, and she, just would record them for me. I'd go over them because she was filming at the time a feature film. And so it was just like, how do we make our schedules match? But yeah.
Yeah. And it's clear, like, it's not like scripted. It's like an interview with her. So it's not like we have this planned out, say this or whatever,
Yeah. Well, we knew going in to some degree, like, so from those 4 interviews, I was able to kind of like then really piece together, okay, I know like certain scenes, like, when she's talking about how depression feels and, she feels like she's always constantly head above water. I knew I wanted to, I had to work to make it work with the timeline that I had to do VFX kind of as soon as before we started filming. I had to get a VFX team in place. So I knew some of those stories we were going to touch on when we actually filmed with her in her main interview.
Yeah. And all that stuff looks great. Like, you got the comic book feel to it. And what was the process going through that? And like, is it people like you worked with before?
Yeah. I have friends that I work with a lot in post, and I'll come to them. Like, my docs tend to be a little bit more surreal and kind of crazy. And so I call them and I'll be like, hey guys, I need to melt a head, or I need some flour to explode. I had something going on in another thing. And they'll just like a long pause, and then they'll be like, okay, we'll think we can figure this out.
I like that if they work on like a more traditional documentary, but you're asking them like, we need a head.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they're really great with that. But yeah, I with the comic book stuff, like Creep Show was actually a really fun reference that I kept going back to. Yeah. Just so cool, and like so many, like I love the little interstitials that they did. So I was like, how can I kind of incorporate some of those? And they had a comic book episode in one of them, so it was kind of just a fun like way to bring that in. And so I knew I definitely wanted to include that. So it worked with her backstory too. So
yeah. And so you said, you read that article, which I remember when it came out. Our other co-host Annabelle, who can't be here tonight, but she brought up on the show, and so. After you read that, like, were you already a horror movie fan? And like, this is a different way to look at this. Or were you not a horror movie fan before reading that?
So I will say I'm kind of like a foot in horror films. Like, I love them, and so, but I mean, I love the artistry of them. Like, there's actually like Talk to Me and Hereditary. Those are ones that really I've watched multiple times over. Yeah. And I actually just talked to someone the other day, and I know I felt so crazy for bringing it up, but one of my favorite films ever is Old Boy, and I feel like that's classified as a horror, right? Yeah. So it's like
horror is really broad term. Like people will argue what's horror, whatever, but I have a very broad definition of horror.
Yeah. So yes. So I say that yes, I do like horror. I am not in it like the way that my friend Ray, the director of horror films, and Jenna being in them. I'm not in them in that way. And it's really been, honestly, I have to say, of all my years in being this, after doing this film, the reach out of the horror community and the way how supportive and welcoming they are, it's just a different level. It's like so cool to see that. So I've loved that part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's not like maybe there are like romantic comedy festivals, whatever. But if there are, there's not that many. But there's like festivals and conventions every week dedicated to horror. It's a really dedicated fan base. And even as a lifelong horror fan, I didn't know going into my first convention what it would be like, but it's all different levels of, people from all different backgrounds, and everyone's very accepting because we all share the same like love.
Yeah. For sure. And Jenna, even I remember first talking to her about this film, and she said, when I was telling her this idea, I was like, does this sound weird to you? She's like, not at all. She's like, I have so many of, her fans will come up to her and say, you have no idea how much this film helped me out in a really bad time. Oh, okay. And it just like, it's really cool to see that's like, it truly is therapeutic in that way.
Yeah. And it seems like it is for her, being in them. And she's not just in them, because when I talked to her recently, she loves going to the festivals, not even just with her movies, but, watching all these movies. You could tell that she herself is a big horror fan.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yes. When you ask her those questions, she can like definitely rattle, because I had asked her, like, what are your favorites? She can rattle off a lot of them.
Yeah. And did you become a bigger horror fan after finding this out? You're like, well, now this is how I'm going to deal with with depression. I'm going to start watching more horror movies.
Yeah, actually, I really did. Like it was once I kind of read that, I was like, let me try it out, and it was a fun. It's been a fun experiment, and even going back to films, just watching. I was just recently watching. I think there's 6 of them now. Paranormal Activity. I watched those with my nephew, and it was just like it truly is a way to escape, and it's just a fun experience to take your mind off something, and so I have definitely turned to it for that now. So
along with the movies you talked about originally, like Hereditary and Talk to Me, I would recommend Smile, because I think that helped a lot with like PTSD, and there's a lot more to that movie than just the weird smile monster.
Well, yeah, that's what I feel like horror does so great. Like they really do take these really deep topics, and then they just twist them into the complete horror end of it, so you're taking something that like depression, then they're just turning it on into a crazy, idea. So it's kind of a fun way to watch it.
Yeah, and it's, you could watch it and not even really, look for that. And I just enjoyed it as a horror movie, whatever.
Yeah,
but then
go as deep as you want to. That's that's so true.
Like stuff I grew up watching, I liked just because it was, a fun horror movie. But then when I get older, like, I see different levels of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you do that with horror and sci-fi, you can really talk about other subjects.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So, what are the other, like, because you talked about making other documentaries. So what are like the subjects of some of those?
I've kind of run the gamut. It's funny. I've tend to land somewhere in health or social justice. I did, everything from, I actually went to Canada and followed a man, who was choosing assisted death. So I was kind of there with him in his last moments, which was a really like heavy, but beautiful way to look at life. And so I did that, and then I've done things on like schizophrenia, and then I've done recently something on immigration. So but I tend to do all of my stuff is I try to approach heavy topics in the same way that I did this depression thing. I want people that wouldn't talk, like maybe not want to talk about depression, or maybe not want to talk about something so deep. If you watch it in kind of a new way, or something where it's kind of creative, maybe it will add more to the conversation. So
that's great.
Yeah, I think some people, when they think documentaries, they think they can't be like, I hate to use the word entertaining, but it doesn't just have to be like a talking head. Yeah.
Totally. I feel like that is like, even my own family, my sister will be, she'll be like, is it like educational? Am I gonna have to like learn and listen to this? I'm like, no,
don't make me learn stuff.
Yes, exactly. Not tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you want to mention, I've always thought that, like, I think it's kind of a myth that documentaries don't necessarily take a side, like they have to be presented like right down the middle. But I was like, I don't think any documentary I've watched is like that. Like they're clear.
Yeah, not any good ones, right?
Yeah, maybe I'm not saying they have an agenda, like, but it's like if you're making something you feel strongly about, you're probably that's gonna come through in what you're making.
I totally, I agree. At least definitely for my work, I feel like I go in with the mission maybe to convince people who would not agree to that topic in just a dinner conversation, debate, whatever, might see somebody in that position and be like, oh, okay, now I can understand it a little bit from their perspective, So I think that's what documentaries, try to do for sure.
Yeah, this is a weird example of that, because it would be very strange if you made like a depression documentary and you were taking like the side of a depression or something, but that might be a very strange thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's honestly, I feel like depression is one of those topics where it's like it can kind of be such a blanket statement, where we say, oh yeah, we have depression. Well, it's like, to me, I look at depression now as like, it's almost like it's so different for everybody, even though it's the same symptoms. It's almost like your own little like pie chart in some way, where it's like, well, you may have like 10% of this and 50% of that, and other people may not experience it the same way. So it's like, what treatments work for you may not work for someone else. So it's like, like, horror films being therapeutic for somebody may not be for somebody else, and that's okay. But we shouldn't cut off some, one thing and recommend another.
Yeah. And you mentioned Jenna being like a badass, and I think that's important for a movie like this is like people look up to her, like, oh, she's in these movies, and she does she does her stunts and stuff, and but she also is dealing with this at the same time, and that I think that's good for anyone to see, like, oh well, if she can overcome this or work with it, so can I.
Yeah. Right. And like she said, she has such a great line in the movie where she's like, she says like, depression is like a monster for me, and it's always going to be with me, and it can hang out in the room with me, but it can't sit on my lap anymore. And I just think that that's just a really good line, because it's like, like we may live with it the rest of our life, but you got to coexist. So
would you ever expand this to a feature where you could actually follow like 3 or 4 different people in the horror world?
I have had a lot of people ask me that, and I love that idea, and I definitely am. I would love to be a part of it. So I'm definitely going to start pitching it and looking into it. I think that there's so much to be said here. And before, like I said, when I was reaching out to people, there were a few special effects artists, that there were just so many different levels, whether it's someone in front of camera, behind camera, there's a lot more, conversations we could have. So I think that could be something to follow.
Yeah, like when he said special, I was thinking like Tom Savini, not necessarily like depression, but if you watch like he's been on the show, but a lot of the stuff he took from being in Vietnam, and he knew like how people looked when they would get limbs removed, and then took that and used it in horror movies. And I think that helped him deal with like those memories. So.
Yeah, I think it did too.
That's really, really cool. Yeah, I think that there's so much there, especially doing it in a creative way, and just like, this topic alone, like the genre alone lends itself to this. And, I've had a lot of people say, this is a sensitive subject, and, I'm not trying to like, make fun of it or, not take it seriously. But I also think that there's two sides of the coin. There's, when it comes to depression, there's some on the far end of the spectrum, there's, it could lead to suicide, but then there's another end of the spectrum where it's just, how do you cope? How do the large majority of people cope in the everyday? So, I think that there's room to be playful with that and enjoy, use the genre. So.
Yeah. And Jenna was obviously very honest in the in Depression is a Beast, which
she was so again, like I just give her just all the credit, because she was so vulnerable and so willing to be vulnerable. Like I approach these and I'm like, try to be sensitive and like, are you okay if I ask you this question? She was like, I'll tell you if I'm not comfortable. And she was like, I want to tell it my truth. And so there was so much in there that, I couldn't even include because it was just, keeping runtime short, but like she was great.
Yeah. Along those lines, technically, what is, like, in your opinion, like, how long should a short film be? Because there's a lot of things there if people don't know. You usually play in a short block, so they have to, put so many in there. If it's over a certain amount of time, it's harder to include your film. And I don't know, how long do you think a short film should be?
Well, I think that's like they used to say all the time, try to keep it 10 minutes and under. That was the big deal, because you're right, because there's a short block, and so it's like, how many can you fit in? I think that's kind of opened up. I feel like definitely there's room to go over that, and there's some great shorts that are 16, 20 minutes long now. So yeah, I think it just depends. Yeah. But it's probably safe.
I think it should be as long as whatever your story, your movie, whatever, should be as long as it takes to tell it. So,
yeah, I agree.
I've seen stuff that's clearly been padded out to be a feature. And it probably would have been a lot better if it was cut down 20 minutes or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now you watch like doc series or even like TV series where you're like, okay, they stretched that definitely into 5 episodes.
Right? Yeah,
it's so true. Yeah,
they're repeating the same thing over and over. It's like,
and then other times you're like, I want some more.
Right?
Like, you've just whet my appetite. Keep it coming.
Yeah, it's probably better, the old saying, to leave people wanting more. So.
Yeah. For sure.
Then I've had enough of this. Let me get out of here. Has Jenna seen the finished movie?
Yeah, she has. She was, really proud of it. She's been really supportive of it. She's going to be at the premiere. So we're really excited. I think she's, again, like I just wanted her to be with all of my docs. Like, I want them to walk away and like be like, this is me, and this represents me. Like I try to be very forthright through the whole process.
And so this will be the premiere. So you've not watched it with an audience yet.
No, I
Oh,
know.
that's exciting then.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun and terrifying all at the same time. It's
I
just like,
bet.
yeah.
So, what is that experience like normally for you to watch one of your own films with an audience?
Well, honestly, even watching my own films, it's funny. I actually hate watching my films after I'd make them.
Really?
I can't watch because I'll be like, because I'll watch it and I'll pick it apart. I'll be like, oh, I could do this differently. I should have done that better. And so then I'll watch it maybe like 2 years later and I'm like, oh, okay, I did okay. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, with live audiences, it is fun to see. It does. There's some like, you get excitement from watching people laugh or respond or get emotional, whatever it may be when on the parts you hoped they would. So,
Have you played Tribeca before?
I got into Tribeca X, which is the branded part of Tribeca. And I did that with a film on schizophrenia. It was for a brand, for the brand WebMD. And so I was kind of doing something on like voices, and I had, it was a really cool topic. So
Are your other documentaries, are they available places for people to see?
Yeah, I have the majority of them on CourtneyDixon.com, just my website. So yeah, put them there. And then, I've done things for brand. I just did, actually did a fun sci-fi kind of moon pie, the moon pies you get at the gas station.
Yeah. I thought that's what popped in my head, but I was like,
then I'm like, must be something else too.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
I did. They wanted to. Their pitch was, we're not pitching to people. We're going to sell to aliens. So they did it as a doc, and so I actually interviewed real alien experts.
Oh, okay, okay.
It was fun.
That sounds very fun, actually.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm actually a fan. I know I'm the horror guy, but I like documentaries. So, and I like ones that are like out of the box, that aren't just talking heads. So
yeah.
Is are documentaries like something you've always, like when you were pursuing becoming a filmmaker? Was it documentaries? Like, is that what you wanted to make, or?
Not at all, actually. I was like, I was going to go into commercials. I think I loved the idea of like, commercials are really hard. Doing 90 seconds and telling a story, 60 seconds, 30 seconds is hard. And so I loved that challenge, but I ended up getting this sounds crazy, but I got a job, a documentary job off of Craigslist back in the day. And it ended up being like a huge thing that like I can't believe was listed on Craigslist. It's still funny to me to this day. And I just love, like, documentary filmmaking is such an adrenaline rush, because you can have the perfect plan in place, you can have it, buttoned up, and then you get there and your shoot rains out, you forget gear, something breaks, or your subject doesn't want to film that day. It's just it can be a rush. So I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you still look at it as storytelling? Because I know it's different than a narrative, but there still is an arc in a documentary.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I guess it can change while you're filming.
And it totally does. That's what it's so just valuable. Like it's constantly being moved and pushed. You still have the story that you want, but sometimes there's just like magic stuff that pops up, and so you just kind of run with it. You don't have to be so tethered into narrative. But that's what I love about, like, that's what I do with that narrative style or whatever VFX, what I bring to it is that gives me the freedom to be creative and just not make it. I'm not a journalist.
Got to be a lot quicker on your feet, I would think,
too,
on something like that. Because a lot of things could swerve you in, like, a million different directions on that.
Yes. So, yeah. And like I said, I'm not a journalist. I'm not here I'm not preaching a truth. I'm telling a story that is on a true subject, so that's kind of my documentary spin.
Yeah. Do you have favorite documentaries that you didn't make, that you like to watch?
Yeah. Have y'all seen it's called The Imposter. It's, if you haven't, you might really enjoy it. Cause it was back, I think it's like 2012. It was like the ultimate catfish story of but it was a real true crime, not a true crime. It was like just a really wild story. So I highly recommend it. And it was one of the first times where I saw it was just done in such a really cool way. I was like, shit, this is what I want to do. So that's what, definitely I see docs like that all the time.
All right, yeah, well, I'm going to check that out.
The Imposter. Yeah, I'll have to look for that one.
I wrote it down, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun. So
Yeah. So what have since you've your other films have played festivals, what do you think the benefits of playing a festival are?
Exposure, like I just think it's really cool to be able to, sometimes as a filmmaker, your reach is your reach. And so you can put it out on Vimeo, you can put it out on YouTube, wherever it may be. And then you just hope people see it. I think festivals get it in front of people that you may never get it in front of. And so that's a really cool thing. And then, but this is the first time I've been on, like I said, I've been on the other side of it, the branded side. So this is the first time I've been in the competition side of it. So I'm excited to kind of see how it unfolds. But yeah, but even this, like I'm here with y'all, and that's pretty cool. I wouldn't be,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it, yeah, like you said, people will see it that might not see it otherwise, and you'll meet other filmmakers. And I'm a big, I think film festivals are great for multiple reasons. So I hope you have a good time.
Yeah.
Tribeca. And that's a huge one.
Oh yeah, that's gotta be.
Not to add pressure or anything.
Yeah, you're not nervous enough.
I know. They have a Q&A that they're doing at the premiere at the end of it, and I'm just like already like I'm like dying a little bit. I'm like every day I'm thinking about it. I'm like, don't think about it.
So will that be with like everyone from the block?
Yeah. Thankfully. Okay. There'll be more people to like hide behind.
Hide behind a few.
Yeah. Step behind.
Yeah. Is there like a common theme for the block that you're in? Is it like all documentaries? Like what is that?
That's a very good question that I don't think I can even answer appropriately. Right. Yeah. there are, I'm not sure that it's, yes, they are all broken up into different things, but I'm not really sure. I don't remember what ours is.
Yeah, because like your film could be in different categories. It could be, in documentary, it could be in horror if they have horror, or experimental. I don't know. It could be like a lot of different things.
Yes, they actually, yes, they have all those. Ours is definitely in a documentary only kind of section, but it's not really, I know that they have like a midnight section. We're not midnight. So it's kind of, yeah. I won't even talk because I don't know.
Yeah. No, you mentioned, putting your films on Vimeo or YouTube or anything. What kind of platforms besides those are there? Like you make a short documentary, like where does it go after the festival?
There's a lot of places that buy shorts. You can sell it to, you can even sell it to Amazon, even though it's like, you're not really like they're not like featuring it on their main page. There's a lot of places where they say, oh, we'll buy your short and we'll put it out. You never know who's going to do it. And of course, yes, if you don't have any other options, or if that is your best option, then you should definitely do it. I don't really know. Like I've really never thought, oh, I can sell a short. Most people don't make shorts to sell them. They're not going to do well. You're making it literally just for your calling card. Like, here's how I do a film. Here's what, hire me and I'm going to do it this way. And so it's just kind of getting a calling card out there. It's a very expensive calling card.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's I was gonna say that there are some platforms for horror specific shorts like Alter and stuff. Mm-hmm. And yours is like a unique thing, so I don't know if it would fit there or would be it could be a unique thing for their platform. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious what the response is going to be from the horror community, or maybe from the health community. Like, are people going to embrace it, or are people going to be like, oh, that's not for, like, the health community might be like, that's not for us, and the horror film might be like, that's not for us.
It's too bad she couldn't be here tonight, because Annabelle's not only on the horror show, but in real life, not that this isn't real, but she's a therapist, and so I was really I was hoping she would be able to be here tonight. But
so I'm curious, and it doesn't have to be my favorite. What was her take on it as a therapist?
I don't know. That's why we were going to talk about it tonight, and then right before the show, I found out she couldn't be on tonight. But,
okay. Yeah, totally understand.
So, yeah, unfortunately, but I will find out and I'll let you know, because I'm curious too. I honestly think she'd really like it.
Oh, cool.
Because I think it's I know it's a subject that is important to her, and she talked about, like I said, the actual article that you referenced. Even when I got the email about this, I was like, oh, I know Annabelle had brought up this article on the show before, so it's interesting.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that there's, honestly, I feel like I hope that this film is about there's so much stigma around depression. And I feel like, sometimes the conversations can be very clinical, and sometimes the conversations can, just be, just very, just all over the map, I feel like. So I feel like sometimes when you add something different or unique, or kind of just open it up to different communities, I feel like then you can really start to raise awareness, and, just try to get the word out there, try to, raise awareness.
So are you, now that you have this experience and you're horror adjacent, would you like to make either another horror documentary or horror film? Or
I've really thought about, like, I love documentary. So obviously I'm like, that's my path. But, every now and then I'll see something and I'm like, maybe I should kind of branch out and try something. And I see people that are doing it, just doing such creative things, like, Jenna and her film, they just do it. And I'm so impressed by people that are just like, I'm going to make a feature, and I'm going to make a horror feature, which is really hard to make. And like, they just do it. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah. This is Jenna week here on the show, because Depression's a Beast I thought was great, and her film I thought was great, and not just because she's been on the show or you're on the show. I really liked both of them, and I want people to check both of them out.
Yeah.
So sure. if you do, obviously Tribeca is huge, but do you know, like, if it'll play other festivals after that?
We potentially maybe one other one. We can't really talk about it yet, but so that's exciting. But then there are, we just started. This is the world premiere, so we kind of missed a few of the big ones. So I'm hoping that, this has some good life to it. So
yes. Where could people follow either your movie or you to see, like, where it goes?
Yeah, so we have an Instagram at Depression is a Beast. And then I'm at Courtney Dixon, or my website, CourtneyDixon.com. But we don't have a website for the short yet. But definitely check out the Instagram. We'll be updating there for sure.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, and I really thought it was great.
Thank you.
Very powerful.
Oh, yeah, Dylan told me about it earlier today. He's like, you got to check this out. You're going to really like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I will let you know what Annabelle thinks. I'll let you know her honest opinion of it. I think she'll like it. Or if you don't want the honest, you didn't like it, I'll keep it from me if you want.
No, I would. I'm really like it. I'm just curious from whatever angle, like, especially from a therapist. I'd love that. So definitely.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I would like to watch your other work after seeing it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me on. This has been, honestly, to be completely honest, it's my very first live. I've been sweating this all day, and y'all made it so easy.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't. This will be the last time I'm ever here. Or,
yeah, like my first and last.
That's usually what people say. All right. Well, thank you, and this has been great. It was really great talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Feel free to come back anytime.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll suggest some other horror movies I think you might like.
Yes, send them my way.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks again.
Bye. All right, that was great.
That was excellent.
Yeah, that was very fun. I really dug the documentary. I'm a documentary fan. I'm a horror movie fan. I like the comic. I really like everything worked for me in this.
Yep.
It's good stuff. And Faceless After Dark was great as well. That interview with Jenna will be posted tomorrow.
Awesome.
So subscribe here to Without Your Head. You will get that. And you will also get Annette O'Toole interview.
Oh, too cool.
Those are two big interviews, and they'll be popping up tomorrow. So you don't just come here for the live show, but do that. Come every Thursday for the live show. Subscribe, hit that little bell icon. You get notifications every time we're live. And also every time a new episode pops up. So there'll be a couple new episodes popping up tomorrow. And you'll get all these archives and help support the show and join the new nation of decapitation. It starts at only $4 a month.
That's too cool.
Yeah.
That's $1 a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's less than a cup of coffee.
Exactly. So, and if you can't help out, I understand. I appreciate you guys watching, but you can help share the show. That's always helpful as well. And hit that like button.
That's my new hit the like button thing.
Exactly.
Huh?
So we got a ton of guests coming on. Sarah Karloff will be coming on. Ooh. That one I think we're going to have to record just because of her schedule, but she'll be on the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
And let's see here. Tomorrow will be Jenna Kanell and Annette O'Toole.
Nice, nice.
And then I don't have anyone scheduled next week for the live show, but we will soon. Looks like maybe Jim Wynorski,
Okay.
who's made Return of the Swamp Thing and Chopping Mall, one of my favorite movies.
Nice.
And so he's got this movie Cobra Gator coming out, which they made like
Woohoo.
10 years ago.
No way.
It didn't get released. And it's very odd. So this came up. It was him and Roger Corman made this movie.
No way.
And I'd set it up before the passing of Roger Corman. So this will be, we'll talk about Cobra Gator, and we'll also pay tribute to Roger Corman.
Too cool.
So that may be next week. Also, Steve McGinnis, who's a horror artist. He'll be coming on soon, maybe next week. And then the 30th, we'll have Tamar and Kaylin Lamberson, the daughter and the wife of Greg Lamberson, and they'll be talking about Valkyrie International Film Festival. So
nice. That sounds awesome, Chief.
Yes. And then we got a lot of other people coming up. But, all right, so we'll be back next week. We'll be back tomorrow. Subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff, join. And until next time, this is Nasty Neil.
That would make me Terrible Troy.
Mm-hmm. And this was Without
Your
Head.